What's up, lifers? What's up, lifers? What's up, lifers? It's Dave Life. It's Dave Life, and you're watching Dave Life After Dark, episode number 253. Dave Life After Dark, episode number 253. Spanking your child, discipline or child abuse? Spanking your child, discipline or child abuse? Look, man, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us tonight. So I want to say thank you and I appreciate it. Look, let's start this off like we always do, but the right way. Heavenly Father, have your way, Lord. I pray that you would speak to your people, Lord. Father, I pray that you would enlighten us, entertain us, and inform us, Father God. Father, I pray less of me and more of you. Lord, I pray that you would get all the glory out of this conversation, Lord. I pray that we would have a great conversation. I pray that you would forgive us for all of our sins that we've committed, both by commission and omission, Lord. Father, help us to have a productive conversation. Help us to take the topic seriously, Lord, and help us speak to those that need to hear. We thank you for everything that you're doing for us. We give you praise, glory, and honor in Jesus' name. Amen, amen, and amen. What up, lifers? What up, lifers, man? What up, lifers, man? I'm glad that y'all are here. Again, this is Dave Life After Dark, and you're looking at episode number 253, Spanking Your Child, Discipline or Abuse. Spanking your child, discipline or abuse. Look, if you want to support Dave Life After Dark and Dave Life TV, man, we appreciate it. Send us some tip money. You can send it to us at Cash App. It's shown below. Cash App is $ Dave Life TV. Or you can hit us on Venmo at Dave Life. Send us some coffee money, some tip money, some food money. I'll make sure that it's distributed accordingly to all of our guests. Now, let's get to our guest panelists, man. Let's get to our guest panelists. We got a couple of people in the building. I see. Let's get to the first person they got here. Actually, we're gonna go in reverse order. We have a special guest tonight. This is my homegirl, my sister from another mister. Her name is Dinesha. We call her Nesh. Come on to the stage, Nesh. Where you at, Nesh? Where you at? Where you at? There you go. What's up, Nesh? You gotta unmute for me, Nesh. You gotta unmute for me, Nesh. I can't hear you.
My bad. I initially said good morning, but I meant good evening. What's going on?
Hey, good evening. How you doing, Nesh?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Welcome back.
I'm a Chi-Town fan.
Oh, that's what's up. Hey, matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I was gonna wear my Bears jersey tonight because we got the first pick tonight. We got Caleb Williams. The Bears got the number 1 pick in the 2024 NFL draft. We got Caleb Williams from SC. All right, so we got a real quarterback, Nesh. Oh no, we got a quarterback. We got a quarterback. So let me tell you, we ain't had a quarterback ever. So, all right, not a real dope one. Okay, so we finally got Caleb. That's what's up. Shout out to Justin Fields. I hate that he had to leave us. He's in Pittsburgh now, but I'm glad that that the Bears are representing. Let me bring up another one of my homies. He got family from Chicago. He was born in Georgia, but he's an official Chicagoan as well. My homeboy, Big Corey G. What up, Big Corey G?
Hello, lifers. Hello, everyone.
What up?
What's going on with you, Doc?
Day?
I'm good, man. We got to get you. You on the come to the middle. Otherwise, is it one way? There you go. Boom.
I'm sorry.
Man. No, you good?
I was
What's up with
watching
you?
This crazy hand draft.
How you feel about the Bears getting Caleb Williams?
Y'all see?
Come on, man. Don't start to hate.
Why not? He's overrated. He went to USC. He didn't play nobody. He went to Oklahoma.
So something wrong with your mic, Corey. I don't know what happened. Corey, something wrong with your mic. I don't know what. I'm playing with you.
Hey, don't get me started on the Falcons.
Uh-oh.
Well, are you a Bears fan or a Falcons fan more?
I'm
Which one? Probably
fan.
Falcons. Yeah, that's right. All right.
You see?
Well, I can't own you then, man. I see you, man. I see. You know what? I take back everything I said about you being from the Chi. So
you can't. Yeah, I'm not from there. My mama is. I just
your mama is. That's right. That's a fact. All right, I got one more person to bring up. A few people said they're gonna be late tonight, so let me bring up. She's out and about. She's roaming. So let's bring her up right now. I see you. Get your microphone ready. Come on to the stage, Michelle. What's up, Michelle?
Bears.
What's happening?
The Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah, I'm not a
How you
very strong.
doing?
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
all good.
tired. I'm very tired.
I
You
hear
tired?
Yes,
that.
we're
You saying?
moving. Yeah, I'm moving. I'm moving. I'm getting ready. I'm almost done.
You know what's
Oh
crazy?
man.
I'm moving too. I saw
Yeah,
a few other people are moving. That's wild.
yeah, yeah. And you don't never know what you have until you move.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm at the
Yeah.
trusty Starbucks. So yeah, I know it's been a crazy
Okay.
week, but so far so good. And I'm a Chicago person. You forgot
Okay.
that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you take some time out from your moving.
My
Uh,
packing.
do
I'm like,
me.
I don't think I said
Yeah.
it either, but I grew up in Chicago too, 27 years before
Yeah,
I moved to New York.
me
There it
too.
is.
So we got
See,
Chicago crew here.
Chicago connection. Okay. All right. That's what's
Just a
up.
little
Funny.
bit.
Corey, look, don't hate, man. Don't be mad because your Falcons lost to Tom Brady because they had one of the greatest,
Are you
chokes in the
serious?
Uh-oh.
history.
Really?
Yes, I am.
Uh-oh.
I am. I am.
Are you
Since you
serious right
trying
now?
to, don't start with me about the Bears, man. I thought you, man.
You know my favorite quarterback is a Bear, right?
Who? Justin?
You know I love me Jim McMahon.
Oh, McMahon. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
McMahon, not Jim
McMahon.
McMahon.
I know Jim McMahon. I know exactly what you're talking about. Come on, man. 85 Bears. Super Bowl shuffle. Don't play.
Exactly.
I know. All right. So look,
Well, I
we're
was a
gonna keep
kid though.
that was. We're gonna keep Michelle and stay on mute as long as you can because I know you're out and about, right? But then jump in when you need to. I want everybody to get their drink of choice. We're gonna have a serious conversation tonight. A few people will be in a little bit later, so we're gonna start off with a little bit of a presentation. A little bit of a presentation, you guys. So everybody go on mute for me. I want to share. I want to share if I can. All right. Will it let me I need to do this? No, maybe I need to do that. Okay. All right. Corporal punishment. All right. The episode tonight is discussing spanking. Let me first show you guys this. Okay, so the episode tonight is spanking your child. Um, is it discipline or abuse? So before we even discuss it, I wanted to set up some definitions. Shout out to everyone that is watching in YouTube. I want you to subscribe. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. I want you to go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching on Instagram, I want you to also follow. Matter of fact, let me get the Instagram people going right quick, y'all. Boom, boom. Matter of fact, hey, let's have a quick open discussion before I go into the topic. Let me ask you guys this: um, spanking and whooping. I'm gonna let you go last, Corey. Michelle, what is your definition of and go on mute for me, big dog. Michelle, what is your definition of spanking and whooping? Is it the same? Is it different? You gotta come on. There you go.
I think that one is more aggressive than the other. Definitely, the spanking is. I feel definitely is something that if I had kids, I would probably do if they misbehave. I mean, I was spanked as a child, and it turned out okay. I think. But the whooping, that's a little bit, I think it takes it a little bit level, like define whooping, because I know that some people say, like, I got a can of whoopers with your name on it. And I'm like, okay, is that going to be like a more aggressive, kind of thing? So I think definitely, yes, whooping is, yeah, not as
Whooping
beating
is
and not
is.
as more aggressive. Yeah.
Oh wait. So now you add another component: beating.
Yeah.
Hey,
Some
come
people
on, we
do that.
talking about it. We talking about it. Okay. All right. So you would say spanking is a level, whooping is a level, and then beating is a level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Go
then
on mute
we
for
were
me.
talking about other, yeah.
Let's stick with those. Let's just stick with those. We're gonna keep right there. All right. Nesh, talk to me, Nesh. Is
Yeah.
there a difference? Is there a difference between spanking and whooping? And now Michelle has added into it now uh, beating.
Yeah, no, I like that you actually said that. When you said that, it changed my thinking actually. So I think the bottom line is it's all the same, which is like physical abuse. But yeah, one sounds worse than the other. But as Michelle said, I use the word pop. I pop my kid when she needs it. So I don't know. I
Okay.
think it's just a different in the sound of the word. But
Hmm.
yeah, beating I think is different than whooping. I think whooping is like whipping, belt, maybe like object versus like beating, I think hands and aggressive. But I think to me, it's all the same thing. It's physically, you know, getting it. I don't know what you want to call it.
Okay. Physically getting it. Okay.
Physically, yeah.
Well, would you like to expand? Well, you said I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Spanking and whooping and beating, are they all the same, or are they different?
Are you asking me?
Yep, Nash. I want some clarity.
I think they are all like the in terms of words, it's the same thing. What it sounds like, one might be a little harder than the other, but I think that's why I was saying like I pop my kid, but it's a spanking, it's a whooping. I think one word just may sound a little worse than the other. So
Okay.
I think they're all the same,
They're all the same. Okay.
but
You
there's levels to it within those.
well, okay. Give me the hierarchy. What are the levels
Within those words, or
within those
I
words?
just
Which
meant
one? Which
like
one? Which one
within a
is? Which
pop.
one is the least? Which one? Okay. Is popping
Like
below? Is popping below spanking, or is popping the same?
what I meant was like popping. There's like a light pop, and then there's like a whack, right? So I would say
Okay.
like popping. If I had to choose, popping is like, oh, it's like a light pop. But sometimes I pop her harder, which to someone else could be a whoop. Yeah, I wouldn't say I ever beat. Um, yeah, because then it's I don't know. But I still think the bottom line is I personally feel like I shouldn't do it, but we'll get into that, I'm sure, later in the show.
Absolutely. We're definitely gonna cover that. All right. So we got it. There are levels to popping. Understood. Understood.
All
All
of
right,
the above.
Corey.
There's levels to all of them.
There are levels to all of them. Corey,
Yes, sir.
is there a difference in your mind between spanking, whooping, and as Michelle added, beating? And or are they all the same?
They're different. Spanking now is corporate. To me, spanking is school. Well, back in the day, you got spanked at school. Then you got whooped at home.
Mm,
Then as you got
okay,
older,
so spanking is something that happened at school. Whooping is something that happened at home.
hmm I'm from the
Okay.
country. I mean, I was born in Georgia. We had corporal
Hmm.
punishment back then. I'm also on 51 years old. So there was a time when teachers could spank you for acting up. So
Hmm.
you got spanked. And, they put that in the rule books. They didn't say whooping. Whooping is a, term that is used in the vernacular for, it's just another word for spanking, but usually that happened at home. For me, I didn't get spanked at home. I got a whooping. I'm not, I don't know everybody else, but I got a whooping. Then I graduated as I got older to get
Hmm.
beat. Once you get past
Okay.
13, boys of that age, boys 13 to 18 in the house, or you're going to get a
Okay.
beat
Okay.
because
So
you're
now you've
older
added
now.
another component. See, now
Hmm
you've added another component, which is gender.
Yes,
Boys versus girls, and you've added another component, which is age.
yes.
Okay. All right. So look, this is super important. I'm glad we're here. Let's continue to talk about it. First of all, shout out to everyone that is now watching on Instagram. Thank you for joining us. Instagram. I want you to come on over to YouTube. Go to youtube.com, type in Dave Life TV, all one word, go to the live tab, and you will see us. We are live. We are live. We are live. Shout out to Facebook, who's also watching. I see y'all. I see y'all. Hey, we live. We live. Oh, look at my baby. She in the building. She said, hey, we live. Yeah, we live, babe. All right, so tell your friends, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that we're live. The episode today, you guys, the discussion here is spanking your child, discipline or abuse. Spanking your child, discipline or abuse. And to even set the topic up before I got into the history of corporal punishment, I just wanted to ask the panel, is there a difference between spanking, um, whooping, and now beating? Okay. So Corey, you said everybody, and Michelle, you can come off mic whenever you want to speak up, but unmute for me, Corey
Yeah,
and
I
Nesh.
kind of just wanted to say something real quick. I think it
Yeah.
depends on the level of aggression. I think everyone it's just a little bit more aggressive. So I think
Okay.
that's totally related to the words. Yeah.
All right. So let's define the aggression. All right. This is open discussion. Let's define the aggression. Can you get spanked with your hand?
Yes.
Mhm.
With
But I
so
also
you can get
think
spanked with
spanking
the
sounds
hand.
like it's like on the butt, you know.
Open
You can't
hand.
get spanked on the with the hand. Like you can't get spanked on the arm. You can't get spanked in the face.
Okay. So spanking is it can be with the hand, and it's usually on the butt.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Now what if your mom slapped you across your face because you said
You just got
something?
slapped.
But what do we call that? Are we
A
calling that
slap.
spanking? Okay.
That's straight slap, sir.
Okay.
I
Okay.
agree.
All right. So that's a slap. Here, I'm gonna. Oh, y'all, we taking it there. All right. So if you get it, so when my brother got slapped in the mouth for being disrespectful at the age of 21, that's just a slap. That ain't necessarily a
Just slap,
whooping, a
yeah.
spanking. All right. And they
Exactly.
ain't even a pop.
And
Okay.
he's 21.
Okay. So what age does spanking apply? Well, no, let's not do that. Let me keep going. Spanking happens or can happen with the hand. Can you get spanked with a belt?
No, not to me. No.
Okay.
You can get
So if
whooping
you
and you can
get
get a beating.
Yeah.
okay, so if you get hit with the belt, that automatically is not a spanking.
Yeah. Anything to me that anything you get whelps on that can make a whelp is
But a hand can make a welt.
a hand can make a whelp.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say
You do it hard
that.
enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like depends on the level of spanking because when I was
Right.
little, I did get spanked with a wet hand in my butt. Like they would pull my little chonas down and they were like, here you go. And now in Mexican culture, we also have something that is called like chancla, which is just like a flip flop, and we're very famous like mothers throw the chancla at the kids, no matter what
Can
age.
you say that slowly? It's called a what?
Chancla.
Chancla, yeah, it's a flip flop.
Chanchla?
Chancla,
Chancla. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, but it's not a
And then
it's not a zapato.
no, it's a flip flop.
That's a shoe.
Yes, but it's a flip
It's a
flop.
Well, I know
form
what
of a
shoes are.
shoe. It's a flip flop. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
then
know. I'm trying to find my
I think
zapatos right now.
and I think that's more like a funny thing. It has a funny connotation in my culture. But I think that when you go graduate to a belt, especially a leather belt, that they snap it like that, I think that's just a little bit. I mean, you gotta have done something really bad to deserve that. Yeah.
All right. So if you get hit with a belt, it's automatically whooping. It ain't spanking no more. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's go back. So okay. Well then what's beating? Let's keep going. So what is beating?
Beating is when you cross the line where it's gotten the physical abuse. When to me that's beating. When you basically cross the line. When you got to the point where anger comes in.
Okay, anger comes
Yeah.
in. The reason I chuckle, Corey, is
I would
because
venture to say they all cross
my
the
mom,
line.
my mama
but
beat our ass. My mama beat our ass throughout high school. So you're telling me that was
Yeah.
abuse, Corey?
I mean, yeah, I got beat too.
Let's just
Yeah,
call it what it
we
is.
both got abused.
So when we
By
got beatings,
today's terminology.
but back then, when in the 80s and 90s, when we got beat above the age of 12, was that considered abuse? Be honest.
Yes, probably so. Yes, if we would call the
It was.
police,
It wasn't.
if we would have
I
called
think
the police, our parents would be in trouble.
But see, it
I
depends on
it
who
dep-
showed up too.
well, and you know
Go
what? I
go ahead,
think it
Michelle.
depends. It depends on the context. You got to give us context because if you're gonna get beat, it has to be something really bad. Like if you're a teenager and I don't know, let's say that you fought with another person in school and you got home and you're gonna get a beating because you're not supposed to do that. You know, we gotta define the context. And I think it is on borderline abuse, like I said, context. But
Okay.
it yeah.
So you need more context. It depends on the situation. So again, all right. Now look, y'all, we're adults and we talking about this. So I'm not trying to gaslight, but I'm being for real, okay? So you're telling me that it depends on the context whether or not the beating you got in high school was abuse or whether it was discipline.
So if I can give you the, oh, go ahead, Corey, and then I'll tell you. Go ahead.
Okay, let me just say this: I deserved every beating I received.
Me too,
Okay.
probably.
So and now listen, I'm being for real, y'all. I'm not trying to implicate our parents. I'm not trying to implicate anybody or say anything. We're just bringing out information. Okay.
Right.
And then we're going to have a discussion because I do think the point here is that the way we were raised is different than the way these kids are being raised today.
Oh, definitely. Come on now.
All right.
You can look at what you just saw today. You can tell people are raised differently.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to everybody that's watching. I see a few people that's watching. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the link right there and you can join the show. I left it open for people because we've got some people joining. Oh, I see someone in the green room. Wave your hand if you want me to add you, or whenever you want me to add you in the green room, wave your hand. But I'll wait until you're ready. Okay. Let me go into the presentation, you guys, and you guys can take about a 2-minute intermission here, and I'll show you guys. I'll try to explain what's going on. Okay, so again, you guys, we're talking about whooping and spanking and spanking your child, discipline or abuse. Okay, that is actually the name of the episode: spanking your child, discipline or abuse. Let's get into the presentation here. All right, I don't know if you know, but spanking is actually whooping, beating, spanking. Discipline that is physical is called corporal punishment. Corporal punishment can be tracked back to the Middle Ages when it was handed out as a punishment for some crimes. Okay, so this is from the 2019 paper called "The Opposing Views: Corporal Punishment in the Home and Its Effects on Children" by Maddie Utter. Corporal punishment can be tracked back to the Middle Ages when it was handed out as a punishment for some crimes. The idea that sparing the rod spoils the child. I'm sure you guys have heard that. That is comes from a biblical concept. Spare the rod, spoil the child. It dates back to biblical times. Scourging or whipping and beating with sticks were common practices. So you can see here that even going back to biblical times, scourging, whipping, or now what we call whooping, right? Beating with sticks. And if you remember when we were younger, our grandmothers might grab a switch and whoop us with a switch, a stick, right? That stuff happened back in the day, but it happened to criminals. And it happened to criminals in some form of a punishment of a crime. It says that the use of corporal punishment declined throughout the 20th century. But even with this decline, it's still the most widespread and documented form of family violence. Okay, so according to a Dubai-based psychologist, Sunaina Athena, she said at least 80% of the parents in the United UAE, I forget what the A stands for.
United Arab
United.
Emirates.
Thank you. I wanted to get the A right. United Arab Emirates. About 80% of the parents use corporal punishment to discipline their child. right? And corporal punishment is legally prohibited in schools in 128 countries, and it's allowed in 69 countries. 35% of the countries out there allow corporal punishment to happen in schools. And that's important because Corey mentioned that earlier that, back when we were kids, you got spanked at school, you got whooped at home. And the difference could be context, who's doing it, because I know at school, when I was in Catholic school in Chicago, in elementary school, if you did something bad enough, the nuns could get your knuckles, make you ball a fist, and hit you over the knuckles with a ruler. Or they could hit you over the knuckles with a paintbrush. I remember when my parents were kids, I think kids could get paddled, bent over and hit with a paddle. So corporal punishment in schools is still happening in 35% of the countries out there in today's world. All right. A study published in the Journal of Family Psychology analyzed 50 years of data involving over 160,000 children in the U.S. and found that spanking was linked to increased defiance, antisocial behavior, aggression, mental health issues, and cognitive difficulties as they grow up. Children who are at the receiving end of corporal punishments may also develop more distant parent-child relationships later on in life. All right. Now, the results of whooping, spanking, beating, corporal punishment can be debated, and the sources and the where it came from can also be debated. Let's see if we can get a few people back up here. Let's get everybody up here. Okay. Thoughts on just the bullet points that I pulled out. Was anything surprising to anyone? Go ahead, Corey.
Yes. I'm sorry, ladies. What was surprising, you said in the UAE, you said what, 85%?
80% of parents use corporal punishment to discipline their children.
Okay, so I want to know the countries that have corporal punishment, right? That's in schools. What I wish they had, what was their rate with gun violence and violence, period? Because to me, it's all about order. Corporal
Okay.
punishment is order, is a part
Okay.
of order because you keeping kids in order. My brother's a teacher. He teaches 5 years old. He gets hit all the time
hmm
by children. Okay, but
Wait a
how
minute.
he can't respond or he can't give
Wait.
a reaction to that.
Oh, so
Yes,
wait a
they're
minute. So you.
five, but guess what? They don't even
hmm
know that hitting is wrong. They think it's okay. They feel like
Well,
it's a reaction. So they're not getting an order at home. Now the teachers are involved. How are you supposed to reflect that? Like if I was 6 years old and I hit a teacher, guess what happened? I'll go to the principal and get a spanking for doing that.
yeah.
It's order to everything.
Yeah, but then
Yes,
how do
corporal
I know
punishment
that
is good
the
and bad
principal's
for
not
some
spanking you
people.
too
It's
hard?
according to who you are and how they take it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Nesh.
Yeah, I was just saying, I hear you, and that's why it's no longer legal in America. But how do I know that that principal isn't spanking or like what they call it in the therapy world, loss of control? You've lost control when it gets to be a point of like abuse or too hard whooping, whatever. So once the principal's hitting, I'm like, how do I know he's not hitting you more than the other kid or harder because he's stressed out that day, so he's taking it out on you? Um,
So when I got spanked at elementary school, I got spanked about 3 times. There was always somebody else there. There was always the teacher there that brought me there, and the principal would spank me. Miss Green was spank me. I
wow.
already know her name and everything. I hold the chair, and there was a paddle, and it was in graffiti. The paddle was in the graffiti because it was like autographed. Well, all the kids that got spankings, I guess. I don't know, but I got a
Oh,
spanking. I had to hold the bar and got three paddles, and I went back to the room. But
yeah,
it was part of life back then. But now I just want to know with that research, it would the spankings that's legal in these countries, what are their ratings of violence and all of that? Because United States,
yeah,
no one in murders. Number one, no one in gun violence.
Hmm.
Probably no one everything that's violent.
yeah.
And we don't have corporal punishment in schools. And probably no one in domestic violence.
But it
But I don't
also
think it's
still
because
doesn't
of
mean it's
corporal punishment it's not there.
yeah. I don't know if it doesn't mean it's not happening behind closed doors still though. So, like you said, the UAE, I know they have like low crime. Like it is safe to leave your phone out, leave whatever. Like you, people do not really steal there. I have a couple like family members actually and friends that live there, and they came to Chicago to visit, and they were talking about how they had left their phone out, and someone was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah, why?" But they say when you go to the UAE to Dubai, like it unarms you because it is so safe there. um yeah, but at the end of the day, like even one more thing I'll say. In the airport, I remember recently this woman, I believe, got like arrested and she got put in jail for like a year or two just for like raising her voice at a security person within the airport. So, yeah, you're right. There is an association between like lower crime rates and lower incidents of things like that and corporal punishment, but still
Wait,
abuse.
but is it a connection between crime rates and corporal punishment in children, or corporal punishment in adults?
In
And here's
general.
what I mean, right? Because if I know I go to Dubai and I steal something, if I know they gonna break my hand or cut my hand off, or they're gonna flog my hand,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna think twice about stealing. But if I know over here in the States, hey man, I got rights. You can't hit me. You know, if I know that, and I grow up on it, and I'm not saying this right or wrong, but I'm
Oh,
just
totally.
saying that if the punishment fits the crime directly and it's harsh, yeah, that's gonna be a deterrent. That's gonna be a deterrent no matter what
Yeah.
country you in,
And
Yeah, no, I
right?
that's what
believe.
corporate punishment is supposed to be, is a deterrent of
Yeah,
you
but
from
bringing
not
it
Okay.
doing
back to
wrong.
a 6-year-old. Yeah.
Okay. So there's some points I wanted to bring out that we mentioned, and shout out to
Oh,
everyone that's watching. Yeah. Did you want to add something, Michelle?
yeah. I just wanted to add, and it's just like a comment about the country that we're living in. Is like no wonder we are like the way we are. I truly believe that we need it, that we need more discipline. And yeah,
For sure.
one of the slides that you showed, I don't remember which one, that I think that it depends on, like I said, the level of aggressiveness that the parent instills or the teacher or anything, into the child. Yeah, I mean, I think in my personal life, I think that verbal abuse did more damage than spanking. Definitely. Like I do not talk to my family, my parents, or anybody because they're so abusive verbally and they said so many horrible things. And when I got spanked, I think that I got the point. I mean, I was a child. I mean, I think I only got slapped once by my mother when I was a teenager, and I would have loved it if she would have talked to me instead of spanking and slapping me. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that it does. Like you guys said, like you go to Dubai and it's safe. And look at this country. I think every now and then I do see a child screaming and misbehaving. I think that parenting here is very, very bad. Like I think we do need to be more, you know, stern with the
Okay.
kids here. Yeah.
So let me share something. So the Daily Mail in 2019 captured this story and this video, and I'm going to play the video, and then we're going to discuss it if I can find it. Here we go.
Mm-mm.
No! You be disrespectful to the teacher? Oh, you know you finna go ask me, right? Wait, I'm not saying. So what you tell her? What you say? You know, talk, get your back in now. Whatever. Oh, we gonna have this problem anymore.
Okay. So I played that, and I played it because I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. That was normal when I grew up in the 70s and 80s. All right. If you did something bad enough that warranted, I'll give you an example. My nephew, when I was raising my nephew, back when 20 years ago. All right. I got to the daycare. He might have been 4, something like that. And they were like, Jabez hit Miss I forget her name right now. Hit her. I'm like, what you mean he hit her? He hit her. Balled up his fist. And Miss Megan. And I walked in, and Megan loved Jabez. Loved him. He played with toys and puzzles. And I was the late parent to go get him. So he would be there the last one. So they said Megan hit Jabez hit Miss Megan. And this young lady was like kind of teared up. And I said, you okay? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, what happened? She said, I don't know. He wouldn't let go of the puzzle. And I tried to tussle with him, which we do every day. It's kind of a game. He gets hauled off and hit me. Like, hit me in the face. And I said, Jabez, why'd you hit Miss Megan? He said, because I wanted to. I said, boy, I don't think you understand what you're saying. And I said, come here. So I took him into the bathroom, and I was about to whoop him with a belt or with my hand or whatever. And the administrator said, sir, you can't do corporal punishment on grounds. I said, oh. I said, I didn't know this. So you can't whoop children. They said, not in our presence on grounds. They said, but there's a parking lot across the street. I said, thank you. Took him to the back, took him in that parking lot, got in the back seat with him. I said, Jabez, why you hit Miss Megan? Because I wanted to. I said, I don't think you understand. You're not supposed to hit anybody. We didn't teach you. So I had to pop him a couple times, and he was crying, and I felt bad because I had to pop him. But I remember I grew up under that, y'all. And I was very cautious to not, I didn't want to hit him out of anger. I didn't want to hit him out of frustration. I wanted to make sure that I got his legs and his butt, and I wanted to make sure that he understood he was wrong. But I didn't want to hurt him. You know what I'm saying? And I remember we never, back when I was married the first time, we never wanted to spank the kids out of anger. Like if one of us was mad, we'd be like, hey, go cool off. I'll handle this. I'll handle it. So, I see a few people joining. Let me know when you're ready in the green room. Give me a salute when you're ready. I bet. So, welcome to the stage, Mr. Al Tariq. What's up, Al?
Hey, y'all.
What's up, Al?
What up?
Do me a favor. Make sure your phone is on. Oh yeah. Are you horizontal?
Yes, I am.
No Diddy. Pause. Good Lord. That sounded horrible. All right, you're on landscape. Bet. I bet. So we're discussing spanking, whipping, beating, if you will. That's the name of the episode tonight. It's spanking your child is a discipline or abuse. So just hang with me, Al. I'm gonna come to you in a little bit.
Okay.
So we showed this clip. And look, y'all, we grew up. I'm gonna speak for me personally. I grew up under that. If you embarrass your parents, if you embarrass your parents and they had to go to the school and you did something egregious, you could get taken outside and hit with the belt right there on campus. You can get yelled at and all of that. Now, this woman was calling her son out of his name and all that, so that's going a little too far. But hey, it happened back in the 70s and 80s. So when I saw that, I said it looks bad on camera, but I remember growing up, that's how you got your butt whooped. And not only that, your parents not only could whoop you, Corey, your neighbors could whoop you.
The whole street. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I see, Nesh. I see you. I see you want to say something. I said, what's on your mind, Nesh?
No, I was just thinking, yeah, the whole neighborhood could whip me, but I got a lot of whoopings from my parents, my aunts, my grandma, but also just thinking about my daughter now, and even just like whooping in general, how it's a transference of energy, right? So like you said, oh, I'm frustrated at what you did, or you, like you said, you hit somebody, so now I got to teach you through hitting, as opposed to talking. Really, the research shows it's more effective, you know.
The research
So that's just what
shows
that's
that the research shows that talking to your child is more effective.
talking, helping them to understand, communicating in that way, as opposed to, yeah, hitting. But again, like I said, I pop my daughter too, but I know that's like when I'm at my limit, I'm like, I just need to. So you understand, don't do that. But I know that, yeah, talking to her is, yeah, the research shows it's more effective.
Yeah.
Dash, can I say something to you?
Yeah, of course.
Funny. My mom and dad try to talk to me, and they try to put me on punishment. Everything. They said I was too smart for talking
So what about
because
structured activities? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I knew that if I can just still do what I wanted to do, I'll be good. They knew that. Okay. Then they started beating me more, spanking me more. Then I got bigger. As I got bigger, it's like, hold on, because they were young when they had me. They were trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
As a smart child, as somebody who's very observant, they knew, okay, then beating stopped working. Then I was
But
like,
did
then
the
they said,
beatings
oh,
work?
wait, actually the beatings worked when I got older. But as I was in middle school and stuff, the beatings didn't work because I wanted stuff.
You wanted attention.
It, I I doubt it
What did you? Okay. Well, why were you doing stuff? Usually, it's like
because I
kids
wanted
want.
to do what I wanted to do.
Well, and I'll tell you what. Now I'll add to what Corey is saying, because I'm a child that got whoopings and beatings. The spankings that Dave mentioned, I don't know what a spanking is. That's too mild. But what?
He said you don't know what it is.
Nah, I don't know what a spanking is. That's too mild. But one of the things what Corey is saying, I was that same child too. I got my butt whooped a lot. And it wasn't so much of wanting attention, but as little boys, we hard-headed. And we're going to be little boys and we're going to try you. And when you try your parents, that's what you're going to, and when you push them to that limit, them beatings and whoopings are coming. And no matter how many whoopings you get, when you're ready to be a little boy and mischievous, you're going to do what you do, and you'll face the
Exactly.
consequences when you have to face them.
Yeah, but do you think the whoopings worked? Because you're telling me you kept getting them.
For me, they definitely worked. And me and my mom to this day, we still have this run-on joke. I tell her I got my ass whooped.
Oh no.
I got my ass whooped at least 100 times. I know I deserved 50 of them.
You deserve 50 of them.
I deserved 50 of them. The other 50 were questionable. They could have did without, but they helped me become the man that I am because of the discipline and using my mind. If not, I would have been one of these cats out here robbing, stealing, who knows, probably raping, So yes.
Okay. So Al, you feel like it helped you stay out of trouble. Like you needed that sort of physical discipline.
I did, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Bonnie
I got
Chambers
something
said,
to say.
hold up,
Sorry.
I got you. I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
Bonnie said, sure, you can talk to your children till you blue in the face. What more can you do to other than go get the belt? And I showed this because hey, it's not just black families that use the belt. white families, Latino families, and I actually we did a poll and a survey, and I'm going to give the results a little bit later. But yeah, families do this, and we saw in our in our slides that this has been going on since the Middle Ages, even in biblical times. At least back then, it might have been focused on criminals, and it was a form of scourging or whipping or beating with sticks. It was a form of punishment for some crimes. It eventually crossed down into families. And at least when this was written, 80% of families in the UAE use a form of corporal punishment. In the United States, I don't know what the number is, but I do know that things are beginning to change in the United States. So, Michelle, go ahead. Go ahead and add. I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off, Michelle. Go ahead.
No, no, that's all right. It's all right. I think there's two very important factors here that we need to talk about, and it's respect and being scared of your parent. I think that's something that's like the video. I was very shocked. I don't know if you saw my face, but I understand if a mother is so frustrated, but do you have to humiliate your kid like that in front of others? Number two, the yelling, the screaming, that's not gonna, earn respect, I don't think personally. And you end up being scared. So you're gonna grow up to be kind of messed up in the head if you're gonna be scared all the time of your own parents. I think as parents, we have to earn that respect first. And then we can teach our kids. And then if you want to spank or beat or whoop or whatever because you were really bad and disrespected, not just your parents or other people, then yeah. So I think that we need to also add that. And I only got like 10 minutes, so by the way.
Okay, no worries. Go ahead, Al.
No, I was just gonna say I understand that concept. However, and I'm just speak from a little boy. I'm not sure how little girls feel, but from a little boy, the fear that comes from getting yelled at and possibly getting whooped will put us in line. It works because I'll tell you, if my mother only talked to me and never put fear in me as far as getting a whooping or on punishment, if you tried that with only just talking to me, like I said, I would be literally a menace to society. So for those people that think that whoopings and the fear factor do not work, I am living proof. Yes, it does work.
I'm not saying it doesn't work. I was just wondering, for example, can she put you in karate?
No,
You know what I mean?
no.
Karate also teaches discipline, structure, listening, following directions at a level in which spanking does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And for me, I'll tell you, when like Corey said, being a smart kid, karate wouldn't have worked for me and doesn't work for a lot of kids because if I'm the only one in my neighborhood doing karate, I'm only gaining discipline when I go to karate. When I get back to my neighborhood or my neighborhood of misfits, I'm back to being a misfit.
And you might become the bully because now you can whoop their ass.
Exactly.
I mean, so now we're getting into the aspect of when do you discipline a child? All right, because growing up in Kansas City, growing up in Chicago, you hit them streets at a certain age, you start learning how to be slick. You start learning how to, not listen to your parents. You start learning how to boss up with your boys, get your little clique together. Kind of like you being a little gang or whatever. Yo, them talkings ain't meaning nothing to you.
Sure.
Because you feel like you got a source of power, you got some swag, you got a friend group, a peer group, and you might have some kid that's 14 to 15 telling you at 11 or 9, you need to not listen to your parents, listen to me, be scared of me, because I'm going to see you when you come out the house. You know what I mean? So you got to catch these kids early. Go ahead, Al.
It starts at toddler age. Believe it or not, it starts at toddler age.
What, at age 2?
For those people who have terrible 2 kids, I was fortunate. My kids weren't terrible at 2, 3, or 4, so I got lucky. But you develop that discipline early, so as they age, they understand that, hey, I can't get away with this. This is one of the things that go on with kids when you hear that term, your child is playing the parents one against the other. This is where the discipline comes in, because as the man in the household as the disciplinarian, that kid knows what they can and can't get away with dad versus what they can and can't get away with mom.
Yeah.
Now, the
In
reason I
therapy, we
showed
call that
this.
triangulation.
Oh, say it again.
I said in therapy, we call that triangulating the parents. Triangulation.
Okay, so I can't get away with it with daddy, but I'll go to mommy and do, you just kind of triangulate on what you want. That makes sense. The reason I showed this graphic is because this is a picture of two parents, whooping a child. And I want to make a point here. There is a stereotype that white people don't whoop their kids. There's a stereotype in America amongst the black community that white people do not whoop their kids. Have y'all ever heard that, or is Dave just I'm off base?
I don't know. The white people in Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, they got whooped too.
Okay.
So did the white kids in Kansas City.
Yeah, they got whooped too.
Same Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know
So
where you heard that from.
Where did the stereotype come from that the reason we got so many school shootings and white serial killers is because white folks don't whoop their kids because they too busy putting them in timeout and saying, "Oh, okay, Jimmy, sit down."
Because
and Jimmy ain't never got no
kids did
discipline.
That's new, Dave. That's this generation.
Right.
That didn't happen when we were these kids. When we were the 10, 11, 12-year-olds. That didn't happen in our generation because our generation, we got our asses whooped.
Okay.
That's these children now that little Timmy, take a time out. Little Timmy, don't do that.
Why you
know,
say it
mommy
like that?
got the evil face. Come on.
Look, Bebe's kids don't care nothing about your evil face, mommy. Bebe's kids will punch you in the mouth. So
and so
okay.
And if you think, I'll tell you a personal story with me. My mom tried that timeout shit with me one time. She made me stand in the corner and put my face up against the wall. Do you know how much fun I had for those 15 minutes? Even she caught me doing that one day in my room when I wasn't even on punishment.
That was Al over here having fun. Mom like, time out. Al was like, all right, yeah, I got you time out. You gonna have fun.
Right. So that standing in the corner, Jazz, that don't work. All that time out
for some kids. Now I will say this.
Go ahead.
Nesh got a point, and so does
I was
Michelle.
just gonna say I mix it up. I'll make it quick. I was just gonna say I mix it up. Like I said, I pop as well because I tell my daughter, I say, if I don't pop you, life's gonna pop you. And I literally use that as her metaphor. So sometimes she'll like be not listening, she'll run and she'll fall and hurt her elbow, and I said, see, life popped you. So it's either me or something else is gonna hurt you. I'm trying to teach you. And then I also say, now you got a timeout. Go sit down for 1 minute. I'll let you know. So I try to use a balance of like, I don't want to sting her, but I know life is going to sting her if I don't. So that's my early teaching. My daughter's young. She's 4. So I don't know what's coming in the next year, in the next years. But my plan is to wean off the whooping because now she understands, why mom was popping her early on.
And I
that's
think
my strategy. I don't know if it'll work.
No, it will because I
Hold
have
on.
9-year-olds.
Michelle, you gotta go. You gotta go.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I gotta go in like 5 minutes, but I also wanted to clarify something that Al said. When I said being scared, I meant the type of terrified of your parent because they get so crazy that you pee your pants. And another thing is to be fearful because you respect them and you know that it's coming because you know that you did something wrong. So I think that's I needed to separate
that fear. Okay, so you think the respect and the fear are good?
I think so to a certain degree, yeah. You gotta be
afraid
of the authority that is gonna. I mean, if it gets too extreme, that's when I wanted to say that the fear. If it gets too extreme, that your parent acts like a maniac, that you actually go hide in a closet, then yeah, that's very different.
Right.
So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
I agree with Michelle. I think it's bad when you come across with terror in your eyes to make your kid terrified and don't talk to them and explain it. That's when it's bad. But when they do bad and you're mad and you discipline them, then you turn around and you talk to them and you console them, that's when it's good. So they'll understand. And
One
so,
caveat to that, I'm also thinking though, like again, this idea of like loss of control. Because I'm making this up. I had a hard day at work. You know, I had to, whatever, just sitting in traffic. Someone else pissed me off, and now I come home and my daughter did something. You know, oftentimes people are taking all that out on the child. So it's
yeah.
like there's also like a line of you know, aggression or whatever.
And I think
there too,
in that scenario, you need a man.
I mean, yeah, my husband will pop her too. He pops her too.
No, that
but
was
less
that,
than
that,
I
that
do.
I was cracking the joke, but no, yeah. When it gets to that point, yeah, you're right. That's when you know. I think the parent needs some self control.
Yeah. Let me say
Hey
this.
guys.
Oh,
Yep. Go ahead.
I feared my mother, but I was scared of my daddy. So the fear of my mother is like she knew how to put that. I didn't want to disappoint her, so that's what the fear came in. I was
Mm-hmm.
scared of my father because I knew anything I did wrong, he was gonna find out, and there was something coming with it. He didn't understand. He couldn't in his brain. Anything you did wrong, it was a punishment that went with that. He didn't
Okay.
let me slide on anything. Nothing. David, no.
Oh yeah.
So
No. Yeah.
Corey, with that said, do you think that made you a better man or the man that you are today because of?
Good Lord, yeah, it was called respect. That man, I was 6'2" at 17 years old. My dad was nothing but 5'8".
Can I say
He
Yeah.
one more
had to
thing
do
real
that.
quick, Dave?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was thinking about what you just said, Corey, and I was thinking about my dad. And my dad is the total opposite. My mom would do the whooping.
Yeah.
My dad is like he's a very just like he's a businessman, but he would say to me, Nash, why would you do that? Literally, and that is what I was afraid of in my head. That was it. And there was one time when I was small that he like took me in the basement and he had a cord in his hand and he talked to me and I was that's when I was fearful. I was like, oh, never, you know, whatever. But he never hit me. And like, yeah, it was his words that I was fearful of. So I'm saying that to say, like, this corporal punishment, abuse, and all of that, like, it doesn't have to come in the form of like a physical thing. That for me, who's a female, I'll also say, you know, that's what got it for me.
And I'll agree with you because times have changed. Because again, now my kids now, I don't have to physically punish them. I have it to where now all I have to do is tell my kids, "Daddy's disappointed," and
Exactly.
they will cry like I beat the hell out of them.
Exactly.
You know, but it took time to get there.
Totally.
There you
You
go.
know,
There
Right.
you go.
It
That's
takes
what I wanted
time.
to get
Yeah.
at.
it took time to get there.
The concept of spare the rod, spoil the child, that's a real thing, you guys. Because what that simply means is that if you fail to discipline your children when they're young, then you won't be able to when they get older. All right.
I
Not the
totally agree.
Bernstein Bears. Where you found that?
Listen, man, I had to show it
Go
because
get the belt. I love it.
I looked up where did we get this idea of spanking or whooping our kids, right? And originally I thought it came from slavery. I'm not gonna lie. I thought,
Mm.
okay, black people whoop their kids because black people got whipped in slavery. But then I found out, no, it's not an African thing. This has been going on to punish criminals. We can go back, like I said, to biblical times and prior. So the idea of you did something wrong, you deserve to get a whipping or a whooping or a paddling or a spanking or a flogging, it's old. It's as old as time, right? So here we go. The Berenstain Bears, go get the belt. Wow. Very poor grades, go get the belt. And look, daddy is mad, mama's scared, daughter's scared, son's scared. Everybody's scared because son about to get his butt whooped. And that's
Right.
what used to happen. That's what used to happen in the house. It established, and I'm not advocating for or against. I'm just giving y'all the facts. It established, Al, a fear
Yes.
of whichever
Yes.
parent was going to administer, right? And
Yes.
and I'm gonna tell y'all, you you need to have a healthy respect slash fear of your parents, right?
Yes.
Bill Cosby used to
Yes.
say, "I brought you in this world, I'll take you out."
Yeah.
That now they're not literally gonna kill you, but hey, they would threaten you within an inch of your life when you was a
Right.
kid. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? So I do believe, and we didn't get into this earlier, you guys. We talked about spanking is one level, whooping is another level. We said beating is yet another level. We didn't even get into the aspect of is it child abuse? We didn't get there yet, and I do want to talk about that. But at what age do you go from spanking a child with your hand? Because we established that spanking could involve a hand, and it usually involves the butt. You know, you don't spank them in the face. You don't spank them on their shoulder. You don't spank them in their chest. You spanking their bottom with your hand. We established that spanking. We said that whooping usually involves a belt or something like that. So my question for the gallery, start with Michelle. When do you cross from spanking a child with your hand to whooping them with a belt if necessary? What age?
I
In
think that
fact,
you
hey,
have to
let's
do,
start here.
yeah.
At what age did you actually start to spank a child? We didn't even establish that because you know there has to be a minimum age. You shouldn't be spanking children under a certain age. But what's your guys' idea? When do you start spanking them with your hand on the butt, or when do you start whooping them with the belt on the butt? Michelle.
I think that kids are sponges when when they're little. They're learning everything about the world. I think that's a good time to start when they start acknowledging and teaching bad from good. And then I would say that, I mean, if you want to put it in terms of age, or I don't know, let's just put it like after they go to elementary school, after elementary school, what is it, middle school? I would say that that's when you start toning it down, because I think the child also is developing into their, a-hole phase, when they get the teenage years and all that. And I think that's when you start increasing it until they, I don't know, it depends. And you start getting more aggressive or what they do, depending on that. Then you start increasing the whooping or the beating. Like I said, depends context. And I think that, like Al said, it's like now if they say to you that you tell them that you're disappointed and that creates a reaction, that means I think that you have done well. Well, good job. So yeah.
Okay.
So
So
I
round
with
it's
that I
open.
have
It's
to go
open.
though. Yeah,
Okay.
but I have to
You got to
go.
go.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Hey
much, guys.
Michelle, thank
I'll
you
be
so
in
much.
Phoenix.
I appreciate you for joining.
Of course.
That's Michelle
Yay.
F.
Love you
Bartender
guys.
from Inside the Drinkers Studio. Thank you, Michelle. I'll see you next week, okay?
You're welcome, guys.
All
Bye.
right. Cool. Bye-bye. All right, Michelle. Thanks for joining. She's able to get in there. All right. So this is round table, you guys, while I pull up the next slide. Um, when do you go when do you start, if you do, when do you spank your child at what age with a hand? And then at what age do you graduate to a belt if need be? It's open discussion.
Well, I'll tell you what, with me, I have 9-year-olds. I started as early as they started crawling. Soon as they started crawling, and when I tell you to come here or I tell you to do something and you want to look at me and smile and laugh, come on now. And then they graduate from there. So for me, from an age standpoint, it's right up under 1 when they're crawling.
When they start to comprehend what yes
Yes.
and no means, what their name is, it's like, hey, don't go over there. Oh, you still okay? No, 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 no,
Yes.
no, no, no. You know not to go over there. And then then let's say it's something simple like I think
She's gonna touch
my
it. She's
son
gonna touch a hot stove.
I think my son did something where he hurt himself.
Touching a hot stove.
Yeah,
Because
I told you. Didn't I tell you?
okay, so when they start to crawl, when they can comprehend their name, they know who they are. they can start to understand language and right and wrong, that's when you would spank. Nesh, when did you start popping?
I'm like, I'm like, I honestly, I don't even remember. Maybe around 2, 3. I don't know. Yeah, but to answer your question about, oh well, that's the next question I think about the going to the belt.
Go. Hey, you got it.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Start it
I was
off.
gonna say, I don't know that. Yeah, again, going back to this idea of corporal punishment and abuse, and just like what comes out of that later. I don't know that I personally will use anything, an object, on my child. But also, let me just say, in the world of therapy, that's like, I forgot what the word is, but it's like child abuse when you use an object on a child. Um, yeah, so and I yeah, I align with that because it's like, again, why can't you speak to the child even if they're like me and my daughter real quickly. I'll just say this. We play this game where I'm like, freeze. So like if we're outside, she's riding her scooter down the eastern, down whatever, like a street, and she's about to go on the street. I say freeze, and she knows like stop. So I don't have to, like I don't have to go to a belt for her doing something wrong. I've like kind of made it into our play as well. Um, just putting something else out there for people to,
Okay. So I see
grab onto.
somebody in the green room. Wave your hand if you're ready. Let me know you're ready. Wave your hand. Hey,
Hey,
okay.
Dave,
Come on. Come on. Yo, what's up?
I'm gonna have to leave. I have a
Okay.
procedure tomorrow. I
Okay,
appreciate you,
man.
bro.
Good
I'm
seeing you,
getting
Corey.
look. Hey, I'm getting
Good luck.
the DC dive in the colonoscopy tomorrow.
Woo.
Ah,
Okay. All right. We'll be praying for you, man. So
Thank you, bro. The
yeah,
I know
for
you
Robin
sure.
probably been.
Crusoe is going in. He's going in.
Oh, Lord. All
It's a
right. No
good
All right,
diddy.
y'all have a
problem.
good one.
Yeah,
No
Later,
diddy.
good
man.
luck.
All right.
All right,
I
man.
gotta go in like 5 minutes ish as well.
Oh, everybody bailing. Welcome to the stage, Sarah Robinson. Sarah. What's up, Kara?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi.
All right,
Hey,
Kara, if you could take your phone, can you go landscape for me, Kara?
All right, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. Come on back. So you said
so
something that you said child abuse. If it's possibly abuse if they use an object. You said possibly. Um, I'm gonna say not necessarily. I can hear you, Nesh.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
by state standard, if a child goes to school, for example, and says, "Oh, my mama hit me with a belt," then there's grounds to look into
Investigate.
to investigate.
Yeah, to investigate. Okay. All right. Some people in the comments are questioning that and saying what state. Um,
well,
I,
here's the
New
deal,
York
though.
is where I live.
In my opinion, and I like to consider myself as a super dad. It doesn't matter what state. The point being is you can't let someone else raise your kids. And so, regardless of what the state requirements are, I think you as a parent, if you start early enough, you should never have to graduate to an object of discipline.
okay. Hold on. Where's my? I couldn't find right. I was looking for all of that. I had to stop. I had to give you a little horn, and then I had to give you the bell. Look, man, you're making a great point, Al.
I,
If you start early and discipline and provide structure, and listen, I'm gonna be real. Put the fear of God in them kids, the fear of God, the fear of them parents, the respect factor. Hey, I'm gonna tap them legs.
I think
Okay, you get them early, then you won't have to
I,
graduate to belts and switches and
yeah,
ironing cords and extension cords and the stuff we went through.
I think nowadays the problem is that with all of these city, county, state requirements is why these kids are so out of control. People are fearful of disciplining their kids because of these bullshit requirements. I'm sorry, there's nobody There's nobody walking this earth that can tell me how to take care of my kids. And I think if you are a structured parent, those requirements that are out there should be obsolete to you.
Okay. So I keep bringing up pictures because I keep showing the various forms of corporal punishment, the various forms of spanking, of beating, of whooping. I keep showing that. Welcome to the stage, Kara Ramza Sarah.
Hey, Kara.
Hey guys.
Hey, so I know you may have missed a lot of it, but we're getting into the heart of it now. And the question tonight is, the overall question is, spanking your child, is it discipline or abuse? Spanking your child, is it discipline or abuse? And we've gotten levels of, well, there's spanking with the hand, there's popping with the hand, there is whooping, usually involving a belt, and then beating usually involves a belt, and it's beyond whooping. Now we didn't establish whether or not we think beating is abuse, all right? And the reason I say that is because when I was a kid, you got your ass beat. You got beat. You didn't get whooped. You got beat. Right now, when you were little, you might have got spanked. You might have got a whooping. But when you hit high school or middle school or wherever you start getting to your mom's height, you got your butt beat, and it was not considered abuse back then.
And Dave, when I was young, I'm talking as when I think back as early as 5, me and my brother, we were getting beatings, and I'm talking extension cords, and the thickest belt you can find, hard shoes,
I'm sorry.
No, laugh because it's funny.
Yeah, nah, because I've definitely seen that. It was whatever they had.
Whatever they could get their hands on, what you call those tree branches when you got to pull off the leaves, and
we used to call them switches.
As early as 5. But again, we're talking. I mean, we're talking the 70s compared to now.
Yeah. Nesh, you're on mute. Nesh, I can't hear you.
It's my headphone. I said I remember my grandmother used to say, "Go get a switch off that tree," and that's exactly what she would do.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm like, I can't imagine.
Now I couldn't. No, because again, as I stated, if you start early enough, and like that picture you just showed, Dave, I think yes, that one. I think that is warranted because as kids grow up, they tend to think that they're too old to be getting spankings and whoopings and talked to. And at that age, grab one arm and let them know, hey, here come the thunder. You're not too old to get your ass whooped.
Yeah, you sound like you said that before. You have to go get your ass whooped. He made it clear.
Well,
Kara,
I said that with my oldest daughter, and she's in her 30s now. But
I got you. Man, listen, my last whooping, my last beating, I was a sophomore in high school. So that means 15.
I was in the 8th grade.
Yeah, I thought I was smarter than the average bear, right? I had skipped school. My mom called me. I tried to forge her name and say that I was going to a college visit to Morehouse College, and I spelled it with 2 O's. I don't know what the hell I was doing. And I lied to her face. Where were you? How was school day? It was good, man. It was good. Oh, you went to school? I said, yep. I went to school all week. School was good, man. She was like, oh, really? Okay. And so you've been to school? You went to all your classes? Yep. I sure did. Oh, great. Okay, so you was in math class. Yep. Yeah. All of that. Oh, okay. And you've been in school since X amount of date, which was the first day I went through it. She had all the information. I was lying to her face because I'm going to ride it out. You got to catch me. So I was like, yes, ma. Yes. Yaka. I had my shirt off and everything. Take your shirt off. Take your pants. I said, I'm not taking my pants off. She had coaxial cable. Now, for those that don't know, Coaxial cable is what they connect your cable television with. It is
Yep.
not meant to bend or
Rubber.
fold. Hold on. And it's got a copper, it's got copper in it that
And the
bends.
insole. The insole,
Yes.
yes.
And the insulation and all of that. And so yeah, she folded back. So here's the story, Nash. We used to get our butt whooped with an extension cord. All right. My mom would get us with an extension cord, and it hurt because we have on corduroys, we have on whatever we could when it was time to get a whooping. We would be laughing because she'd be hitting us with the corduroys. We wouldn't feel nothing, but we try to act like it. And when we got new beds in elementary school, we took all the extension cords in the house, stuffed them in the mattresses. So when the trash men came and moved out the mattresses, we were like, buy mattresses. We was like, bye. So next time we came to get a whooping, my mom could not find her extension cords. So because the belts wasn't doing nothing. Al, you get to a certain age, them little bitty belts ain't really doing nothing. Like, unless your father's whooping you. Now, if your mom whooping you, you ain't really feel your dad whooping you. That's another story. So eventually, we got cable TV, and my mom asked the cable man, "Hey, can you leave me about 3 feet of this?" And he said, "Sure." And we were like, "Oh Lord." And all you had to do was bend it over one time. Just bend it one good time and fold it. So now this is actually not coaxial. This is my cord to my Apple, right? But the cable cord is not as flexible. You have to bend it and it just stays. It stays just like that, like right there. It keeps that shape. So she bent that bad boy, and when she gave us a whooping, she got us one good time. That went through lead jeans, corduroys, tough skins. Al, it went through whatever you thought she was wearing. You felt it. And she knew she had the enforcer. She said, "Okay, now I know, because y'all don't listen to reason." So my last whooping was when I was 15. And I'll say I deserved it. And I'll say this, she also realized too, we getting too old to be doing this. You taller than me, you heavier than me, next is gonna become threats if you think you're gonna get out of line. Now I never got out of line, you know what I mean? So I never had to get like nothing like that. But when your father isn't in the house, your single mom has to do certain things.
Yep.
And back in the day for me, talking wasn't enough. Now she had to use corporal punishment.
No, I was thinking when Al was talking, I was wondering who was doing the whooping, moms or dads. If both parents are in the home, is dad doing whoopings or just mom?
My mom did majority of it, and then my sister's dad, which was the dad in the house at the time, he also partook in it, but mom's was the disciplinarian.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom would be the one that would yell at you and enforce the rules on a daily, right? And my father would be like, "Hey, what'd your mother say?" Right? But if you went beyond, like let's say you got disrespectful, let's say you got beside yourself. If she ever called in reinforcements and said, "Hank," is my father's name, "Hank, you did not want daddy to whip you. You did not." Because because parents, when they spank you, sometimes they might be mad. And that's the danger when it can turn into abuse. You got to make sure it's discipline and not anger. Right.
Yeah.
But when a mom swings at 50% and catch you with a belt, and a dad swing at 50% and catch you with a belt, it's two different feelings.
Yeah.
That's a man. That's a grown ass man.
Yes.
He hit you with a belt, bruh. You don't want to play no more. It's not a game no more. And don't add to it. You're disrespecting your mother.
Right.
You disrespecting my wife. See, it's two levels. It's his wife and it's your mother. You don't do that. And so then he's got to now let you know, stop the games, and you gonna get this butt whooping, and nothing's gonna save you. Ain't no talking, ain't no crying.
Well, I tell you, Dave,
so yeah.
I got lucky when I said my last butt whooping is when I was in the 8th grade. I guess that's 13? 13?
12, 13.
13?
Yep.
Yeah, because again, I have an older brother. And one day moms went to hit him and he was like, "Enough of that shit." And he snatched the belt straight up out her hand. Like, these days are over. And I think after that, she looked at me because I was watching and she was like, "Yeah, and I'm sure he's gonna try it. So she came up with other methods, but you know, yeah.
Now I'm showing pictures again. Now this picture right here may seem a little scary, may seem a little funny. I don't know, but I will say this: sometimes whoopings slash beatings and all of that can continue into teenage years. This guy right here clearly is not 7 years old. This guy right here is clearly teenager or somewhere in that range, right? And I just want y'all to know that it can continue. Kara Rhymes with Sarah, welcome to the stage. We're talking about spankings, whoopings, and beatings, and whether or not it's discipline or abuse. Let's start with spankings. Should children be spanked? Should children be whooped? Or no?
So I think if you're getting to the point where you're leaving marks, you're bruising, you're going too far. I think you as the parent, and I don't have any children, but you as the parent need to get control of your emotions and not take your frustrations and your anger out on your child.
You got it. That's the law.
Because those scars, not just the physical ones, can last much longer. And I've known quite a few older parents who have regretted how they treated their children in their younger years, and now they're alone. So I think people need to think about how they treat children because they're still humans and they will grow up, God willing.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of expressing yourself physically. I think that there are better ways to.
So
I'm also
do
not a
you
boy.
ever?
So
Okay,
I also recognize
going
that women are
down.
different.
Yes, they are. Now, let's take it all the way back to spanking with your hand, not necessarily a belt. So spanking, and let's take it down to age. At what age is it okay to spank a child, and at what age should you not spank a child? Should you kind of stop with your hand?
Mhm. I think
Karen.
a little pop is okay, especially if they don't have great language skills. But I don't think that should be all you should rely on. As a parent, I think it is ideal, and I get it, it might not always work out that way. You can redirect. People figure out ways to teach their dogs how to behave without spanking. So why not your child?
That's a good point. That is a good point.
With me, I was like, yes, 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 yes. I also will say, like you just said, I pop my child because it is very hard, and sometimes you are out of tools in the moment, and she's about to touch the hot stove, and you just need to say, stop, don't do that, But I totally, everything you said, agreed and resonated with me for sure. And I gotta go in like 5 minutes.
In like 5 minutes.
I also recognize that little boys are different, and at a certain point, they do grow to try and challenge their father. I can't speak to that experience. I've never been a man. I will never be a man.
Oh man, I'm laughing because I told this story. My father grabbed my bearskin chest like it was a shirt. My father gathered my chest like cloth. Y'all see them wrinkles in that cloth? That was my skin. My father,
My sister's dad did me the same way.
Hey, listen, you need to avoid disciplining a child when you're angry. This meme says, if Johnny has 5 apples and eats 2, how many does he have? The child says 4. The dad picks up the belt. If Johnny has 5 apples and eats 2, how many does he have? Look at this man's face. Yo, we gotta, you see, he pissed the hell off. We have to avoid, disciplining our kids in anger, because shouting and repeating doesn't mean they gonna comprehend it because you got louder, and you grit your teeth. My man is mad. He mad as hell.
This is the anxiety.
But Dave, I'm sorry. I'm laughing, but I'm sorry. I understand that concept, but I'm sorry. Every child is different.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna tell you why. On 2 different levels. Me, when I was a kid, I hear you, but shit. If I ate 2, I got 4 left. When you yell at me, something in my mind says, oh shit, okay. And guess what I'm gonna do? Soon as you yell at me, I'm gonna give you the right answer. Because now I'm focused.
Oh.
All right. Fast forward. Now I'm a dad and I have a son. My son did the exact same damn thing to me. He took it lightly. I was like, how much is this? And he told me. I was like, hey man, don't play with me. What are you doing?
That was Al. That was Al.
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing? Give me the answer. And guess what he did? He gave me the right answer.
Okay, Mr. Al, are you
Yes,
employed?
ma'am.
Are you employed?
Excuse me?
Are you employed?
Oh, of course, yes.
Does your boss beat you to get you to do right?
In certain ways, yes. But no, physically, no.
Right.
No.
So there are other ways to get you to respond in the desired way.
Oh, I never said I hit him.
But Kara, not advocating. But we are talking about children and adults. We are talking about adults.
He used himself as an example.
No, no, that's fine. Yes.
That he needed to be yelled at. Does your boss yell at you?
Yes.
That is crazy.
Yes.
Indeed.com, my friend.
Agreed.
Yes. Well, see,
I'm
from the old school. All these new bullshit ass rules and I'm gonna go to HR and this and that. I'm an adult. And my thing is this: you could yell because I understand the situation, but when I yell back at you, we on the same level playing field. I don't have time to play that corporate bullshit.
Yeah,
but it's disrespectful. You don't even need to yell at me as my boss.
That is crazy.
Why are you yelling at me?
You know what? It's what I think this society forgot that this shit is life. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. So what do you do when it happens? Do you cram up and then you start running I'm a snitch and tell on you? Or do you adult up and handle it like an adult?
I can absolutely address the person directly. I don't need HR for that. But I'll also say, you don't need to yell at me.
Okay. And again, it doesn't happen often because one, I'm a man. And I'm gonna and 90% of the time I'm the aggressor, regardless of your position.
Sure.
So when you come at me, you could look at me and tell he's not for play, and I'm not coming at you like that. But it does happen, and when it happens, I'm mature and smart enough to understand where it's coming from, not to take it personally, and handle it my way.
Right. I would never yell at anyone at work. And I wouldn't expect anyone to yell at me.
Well, and you're right. And again, we're dealing with 900 million different people that handle 900 different scenarios, 900 different ways. So again, when it happens, all I'm saying is I'm not advocating that it was right, but when it happens, there's a reaction.
Absolutely.
So I got a question, y'all, to bring it back to center. If you whoop your child with a belt, or if you spank your child with a hand, or if you beat your child, and I'm using the 3 terms we used earlier, if you beat your child with a belt, when does it become abuse? Give me the moment, the scenario, the criteria, like, and I know this is a subjective thing. I understand that there's laws, but I also understand that, the interpretation of laws, and I also understand that everyone's family and their threshold may be different. So there's no wrong answer, no right answer, unless you're going to look up the actual law and tell us what the law says. But when does it become become abuse?
Yeah, I feel like frequency, force, those are factors in I can't give you a straight answer. But yeah,
try to quantify it. Frequency and force.
Definitely an object in the hand, 100%.
Right.
Other than a belt. Other than a belt.
No. Including the belt.
Anything.
Including the belt.
Yeah.
Just for the audience, I want to be clear. Are you saying that hitting your child with a belt is abuse no matter what? There's no circumstance where whooping your child with a belt.
Hitting is abuse, period.
Okay.
Whether it's with a hand or with a belt or with something else.
Is popping hitting?
What's a pop?
I'm using Nesh's word, and I did that on purpose.
Like popping my daughter.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah,
Yes, you said
yeah, I do.
okay. Now this
Yeah,
is where I disagree.
and
I
I
was
but
raised
I say that because go ahead.
I was raised in a family where corporal punishment was okay. All right. Getting your butt whooped, getting your butt spanked was okay.
Same.
Abusing you was not okay. You know what I'm saying? So I remember in our neighborhood in Chicago, there was these two light-skinned girls, Michelle and Daphne, and they were high yellow, high yellow. Michelle and Daphne, whenever they got a whooping, you could see the welts on their legs when they came back outside, you know, because they were high yellow. Now, granted, I'm chocolate. I get hit with that same belt. You probably can't see it, but
Right.
Michelle and them, it was very clear. And I remember, you know, if if you left, like if my mom or my dad whooped me, or let's say kids in the neighborhood like Michelle and Daphne or someone else, if they got hit with a belt and it left a welt, then we were like, okay, that was a lot. You know, that probably, you know, if you call somebody, is, you know, your parents probably get in trouble, right? But if you got whooped with a belt and no marks were left, then you just got a whooping. It wasn't necessarily abuse or anything. How do y'all feel about that aspect? Did y'all ever hear that? Did y'all feel that?
Well, here we go, Dave. Here's the scenario. Again, like you said, when we were kids, times are 100% different. So
Mm-hmm.
all of the whoopings and that we've taken back then, it was just that. It was whoopings and discipline. Today's standard, that is straight child abuse.
Yeah.
So in knowing that, what I tell people that have either just had children or thinking about having children, get on your parental game early. Set the tone early so there will never have to be a situation where you have to use an object.
100%.
Okay. Set the tone where you won't have to do that. I'm looking for something right now. Hold on, guys. There it is. Okay. I want to show y'all this. This is from back in the day. This is how we were raised back in the day. Let me share my screen. Let me see. Kenny Kincaid said, in no state are you going to find a law that tells parents not to spank their kids, just like New York doesn't have a law against it. So she's saying that, you know, they're not going to tell you to not spank your child. But however, if it crosses over into something, you could get in trouble. I'll say that.
I disagree with that.
You know?
Yeah, because again, who under whose interpretation?
Mm-hmm.
If you ask that child and that child is mad, you could just spank them real hard, one good pop. That child to go tell somebody, and that's child abuse.
Well, then they
All right.
investigate, and if there's bruises, then there's further.
But here's the other thing too, Nash. Yeah, bruises are a problem. But look, the child, you could have a badass kid that just decides, I don't like you, and I hate the fact that you don't let me eat candy and stay up and play Nintendo all night. So
I
guess
hear you.
what? I'm gonna say you touched me. I'm gonna say you hurt me. And here comes defects, and you ain't done nothing. You literally ain't touched the child. But here comes defects because they gotta investigate. And listen, God forbid you did whoop them. God forbid you actually whooped them, and it was a normal whooping or a normal spanking. And the child says you abused them, and then they see a welt or they see a mark. Because
You know the
I
crazy
want
part.
to hold on. I want to make a point here, because when you get into, you know, someone outside your family and possibly someone outside your culture trying to judge, oh, now you're in trouble, because the white person and the way that they discipline may not be how the black person discipline. I'm coming to your comment, Al, but I want to show this, because look, this is how grandmas and them used to talk to us when we was getting our butt whooped.
Up over there.
Make it a little bigger.
You wouldn't want to come visit me because when I got through with your ass, you wouldn't come over there. Go back in there and fold that shit up. Get it up out my damn floor.
Look at that switch in her hand. Y'all see that tree branch? I mean, we laughing, but hell, to a kid, she might as well have, a piece of wood.
That was my grandma.
Yo.
So
go ahead, Al.
So my question to you, Dave, do you view that picture right there? Do you view that as a problem?
I do not, because of how I was raised. However, I know in 2024, if I hate saying the white man, okay, because in today's world, it don't have to be the white man. Back when we was a kid, though, it was if them white teachers, that's what it was. If the judge, now, I'm gonna pick on Nesh. Now it could be somebody that's just like, hey, I don't whoop, I just pop. And then they see something like that, your grandma would have switched. Oh my God. Why is Mrs. Dave Life spanking little Dave Jr. with a tree branch? And when I was a kid, Nesh, our grandma will make us go pick that switch ourselves. She'd make us pick off the branches. We had to clean it. It'll be all them extra branches was off. It'll be the middle part. And it'll be free of thorns, free of bumps. We would have to pick our own switch, clean it up, and then we get our ass whooped with it.
Here's the problem, and I'll tell you like this, Dave. I'm like you. I don't have a problem with that, but for different reasons. I don't have a problem with that because bottom line, it looks like all that switch is an intimidation factor. She probably never had to use it. But to put it in your mind that if you don't listen to me, this is what you're going to get. And maybe that's enough for that particular child.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a problem with that. Even in today's standard, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Anybody got a problem with the switch?
I need to run, but generally, I'm gonna say I have a problem with it. But
okay, that's fair.
And then I get it. Again, as a mom, it's like those moments where, like, what do you do? But at the same time, I know, like you said, my daughter is very smart, and I know that she can understand language. So it's like, take the time, speak to her. And you have to pour and pour and pour and pour and pour into her again and again. I'm not going to tell you once, oh, I told you already. She's, you're little. People, just like we need to learn how to walk or ride a bike, you don't learn in a day. So I feel like if you keep pouring into them in that way, better, as Kara said, better relationships when you get older.
Nesh, before you leave, Nesh, let me read this headline to you. A 24-year-old North Carolina man, Dylan Tennant, has been sentenced to 30 years in prison after whipping his children for not cleaning their room. 30 years in prison. Now, before I even give y'all the details, let's just start there. Nesh, is 30 years in prison a commensurate punishment for whooping your kids?
Well, what did he do to the kids? Let me ask that, because where are the kids? What did he do to them?
I'm not giving you context for a reason, because I'm going to build up. So if let's forget about potential. Hold on, Nash. Hear me out. You pop your little girl, and you get her. Pop, pop, pop. And someone outside the family says, "Oh, you should never hit your child under any circumstance." That's abuse. And God forbid you marked her somehow. I don't know. Your nail caught her. Whatever. It wasn't on purpose. Now there's a mark. And you're looking at potentially 30 years. Is that worth it? Is it fair? Or no?
I mean, you're laughing. But I hear you. We're talking about is it a nail mark? Because I don't think a whole trial was and a jury and a judge convicted him or whatever it's called to 30 years
We
from a
ain't talking
nail
about him, though. We ain't talking about him. And here's the point. Here's my point. When you have to discipline your children and outside people get involved, all bets are off. God knows what may happen.
Their
Because
interpretation.
there you go, Nesh. That's what I'm talking about. Their interpretation could be, hey, popping is abuse. Because
Yeah.
I heard you say tonight, and I'm talking to everyone that's watching. I'm not just picking on Nesh. Hey, I pop, I spank, I whoop, I beat, I this, I that. I get all of that. Wait until you find that person outside the family that says none of that's excusable. And in fact, all of that is abuse. You might have a jurisdiction, a person, a teacher, someone, and man, you can find yourself in hot water. So in today's world, you almost cannot whoop your kids no more. Almost cannot whoop your kids. So look, now here's the details, Nancy, because you're absolutely right. There was a lot more to the story. Investigators say in 2023, Tennant became angry over a mess his 2-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter made in their bedroom. He physically punished them repeatedly in the days that followed. Keyword, physically and repeatedly in the days that
And
followed. Days that followed, plural. During the trial, prosecutors showed evidence that Tennant left horrific bruises on the toddlers. All right. The Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit District Attorney's Office said as part of a press release, he reportedly took the children to a friend's home in hopes of concealing their injuries. Okay, now we get the scope of what he did. Okay. When they returned, the children's grandparents and uncle reported the abuse to law enforcement. So apparently, he had given them injuries, plural, and enough to where he was afraid. And he said, "Oh God, I got to cover this up before the grandparents get back." So he knew he went too far because he took him to a friend's house to try to cover stuff up. It says he left horrific bruises, and boom, 30 years. Child abuse is wrong, y'all. Abuse is wrong. I will say that our parents back in the 70s and 80s probably beat us, and in today's standard, it'd be abuse, straight up. In today's standard, like you were saying, Al, he's frozen. In today's world, Al, the beatings we got, the whoopings we got, hey, the spankings we probably got will be considered abuse.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I would just challenge everyone. I know you got to go, Nesh, and then we can continue, you guys, or we can also shut it down.
No, we can continue. I'm with it.
Continue. All right. Yeah, Nesh, he got 30 years. He probably deserved it.
Crazy. I mean, 2 kids and they're like under 3.
Yeah. What are you doing leaving horrific bruises on a 3-year-old? Which is why I was asking earlier. Look, y'all, they shouldn't even been getting hardly anything but a little, just enough to get them nervous. Like, hey, fear God on the butt. Like you said, popping them on the butt. I don't, again, I don't know the law in every state, but I'm okay if me or my wife spank our children on the butt. I want to put the fear of God in them early, Al, so that as they get older, we don't have to graduate to belts and we don't have to keep getting a leg or getting a booty. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to keep doing that because I don't want to turn into what we went through. Now, what we went through probably kept us out of a lot of trouble. But my child ain't on the south side of Chicago either. So he shouldn't be dealing with them daily traumas to where he got to make life decisions every day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so will a structured sport. So I think some of the things like that kept me like from doing all this stuff was like I had to go to school. Right after school, cheerleading practice. After cheerleading practice, go home and eat. After eating, it was talk on the phone maybe, or get up on AOL, dial up real quick, and then go to sleep.
Right.
And we did that literally 7 days a week. Saturdays you had football games, or Friday nights you had basketball games. Sunday you had competition. So it just kept it, it built that discipline and that structure.
Yeah,
in
structure.
A different way.
But I'll ask this: when you were little, would your parents pop you if you got out of line? Would they pop you on the leg, pop on the butt?
My mom, my dad did. My grandma, my aunts and uncles, some of them, yeah, for sure. You know,
And you know what? I also do remember some people would say, "Hey, let the dads and the uncles discipline the boys, let the moms and the aunties discipline the girls." You
None
know,
of the men
because
in
you
my
wouldn't
family
want.
ever hit me. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, no. I mean,
Speak on it,
growing up,
Kara.
Dave, like she was saying earlier, hell, I had neighbors, fathers, and mothers who slapped the shit out of me.
yeah. Oh no, no.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
but again, back then, hell yeah,
Yeah, that was okay.
you know, and like I said, remember, we used to go to school getting paddles.
Say
Yeah.
again. We used to
We
go to
used to go
school.
to school and get hit with teachers with paddles because your mother
Yeah.
signed that permission slip.
Yeah.
So trust
Yeah.
me, violence was a very big part of society back then at that time for discipline.
Totally, totally.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. Touch
And
me, and there will be violence. Yeah.
and see, and I think that's what's wrong with today's society. Well, not what's wrong. Excuse me. Let me rephrase. I think that's the major difference with today's society versus when we grew up, because that was not only warranted, the parents told the teachers, I ain't got time to be coming off my job picking this little boy or this little girl up. You have the permission to discipline them as you see fit until I get home.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but it worked.
Kara, speak on the no men whooped you. Like speak on that a
Oh
little bit,
yeah.
Kara.
I believe the concept was they didn't want me to be used to a man putting his hand on me. So my
Mm-hmm.
dad never physically hit me, my uncles, my cousins, but I knew if I went to one of them and someone put their hands on me, it was going to be a situation. Like, and it's not was, it's present day. Like that's how the men in
Yeah.
my family are. Um, Now my mom, her sisters, her friends, female friends, they all with me.
Yeah.
Every last one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I remember.
but
I definitely remember coming up. I remember coming up. My mom could whoop us, right? Because it was me and my brother, two boys. So my mom could whoop us. My dad could whoop us. But I remember when we went to our aunties' houses and our cousins' houses. You know, normally the uncles didn't whoop the little girls. It'd be the aunties. You know, the boys can get it from the aunties or the uncles or the moms or the dads, but the girls will only get it from the women because you just don't want it okay. You don't want it to be okay that you're hitting a little girl or the girl is okay getting hit by a man. You also don't want to whoop no one else's kids unless you know, absolutely have to back then. And then also too, girls were precious. You know, girls were, you know, delicate. They were the precious jewels of the family. So like, you know, little boys get out there, rough tumble, play football in the snow. Little girls, no. Don't be hitting my baby. You know, but if your baby did something egregious, now mama might get her, you know.
my
And
daddy
even and
used to walk
even
around the neighborhood with a machete. So I think they knew, don't try.
That
yeah,
intimidation factor. Love it.
yeah, yeah.
No. And what I mean by that, because again, my son is 9,
Mhm.
right? And again, I don't hit my son. I don't have to. The bass in
Yeah.
my voice alone
Yeah.
from that's
Wi-Fi.
9 years of developing the discipline to get him to that point. And like I said,
Mhm.
like Ness said, I popped my son and when he was crawling.
Yeah.
So by the time he turned 1, turned into 2, I didn't have to do it anymore because he understood.
Mm.
I just kept reinforcing it with, if you want to call it a threat. Hey, you know what I'm gonna do,
Mhm.
and it was automatic straighten up to where here it is 9 years later. Now it's the same thing. He looks at me and I'll be like, hey, do we really got to go there? And he knows. But
Right.
again, I think if you start early enough, physical abuse is not even a factor.
Right, but I think in these like stories and debates, everyone goes to the extremes, right? But
Yes.
what's the missing component is the relationship building and like the consistency and the continuity and the structure. Because there are kids that have taken a wrong path and they are the ones that are getting beat or physically assaulted or roughed up. So it's not just that, right? Like there has to be a number of other things. The physical stuff and the threats, that's easy. The
Hmm.
other stuff takes time, patience, consistency, presence. That's the stuff that's
Yeah.
hard. And that's the stuff that they can rely on when they're teenagers and
Help,
beyond.
help, help me when you help me understand hard. I don't understand that concept. When you say
I
hard,
mean, like hitting someone is a couple seconds, but being there and engaged continuously,
Mm.
that's over years. That's every day. You're present. You're there. You're with your kid. And let's say they don't live in your household, but when you are with them, you're reinforcing these things. So those things, in my opinion, are harder than just hitting somebody.
She's saying continue to talk to, continue to give the attention, continue to give the conversation, continue to remind all of those things, as opposed to just let me just pop you and give you the attention.
I see what you're saying, and I will just push back on that from the standpoint of saying that's not hard. That's called parenting. And I
Totally.
I'm
think
saying,
and I think with today's society, people want to take the easy route. Well, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. I'm sorry, it comes with the territory. That's parenting.
I'm not saying that it's not parenting. I'm saying it takes more time to do those other things. That's
Oh
the
no,
hard.
no,
Okay.
I get that, and you're right. But when I think with a lot of parents, and especially these newer parents, now when you use the word hard or easy, that's when it kind of that's when it kind of get convoluted. Because again, even if you only see your child every other weekend, if you're a weekend parent because of child support or what have you, nevertheless, you're still a parent.
I'm
And
not
that's
disputing
part
that.
of parenting.
But I think people can still choose to be actively involved or not, whether or not they're with the kids 7 days a week or on the weekends.
Oh, definitely. I see where you're going with that. Yes, definitely. Of course. Yes.
Okay. Nesh, you said you need to head out.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Kara,
Would you like?
you're so wise, girl.
Pardon?
I said you are so wise, girl. Everything you're
Oh,
saying, I'm like, I feel you.
no. I appreciate it.
That's what's up. Would you like to give us your final thoughts before you head out, Nesh, just on the whole concept of spanking your child? Is it discipline or is it abuse? And mind you, we said a lot tonight. We definitely said a lot tonight. Give us your final thoughts on spanking your child. Is it discipline or abuse? And if so, when is it appropriate or when is it not?
Yeah. So I'm gonna say it's the both and. I think it is a form of discipline and it is a form of abuse when it's physical. Um, like I said, we all as parents sometimes we need to do it. I tell my daughter, like I said, if I don't pop you, if I don't pop you, life will pop you sometimes. So like Al said, she's a young child and I'm trying to just instill in her like, oh, like that is something that you shouldn't do. That could be a life pop, versus losing control. And then that's when I think real like serious abuse gets in, but I think there's other ways to do it. You can just sit down like Kara said, repeatedly just talking to your child, or spending that time with them, and instead of just a quick pop. I think those things can be more effective in the long run for the relationship. I remember when I was working at the Boys and Girls Club back in the day. um, Side note, these kids were playing a game. They were playing Whoopin' Mama. And they were like, oh, you never played Whoopin' Mama? I was like, what's that? So then they taught me this game where they would just chase each other around and like whoop each other with different objects, yell, curse each other out, and all these things. So yeah, then they're repeating the behaviors now as children, and all the things that you guys were saying as boys and girls get older. So I encourage all of the other things. Like I said, karate, put them in a structured activity, sit down and talk to them. But I do
Yep.
understand there are hard-headed children. There are children with behavioral issues and all those other things, and it gets frustrating and it gets hard. And
You know, that's a
people
great
aren't.
point because you do have to know your child. That is a great point because if your child is cognitively sound and behaviorally comprehensible and there ain't nothing wrong with your child, then okay, it may be okay to spank them if they need it. But if your child clearly has a cognitive or a developmental disorder, they don't understand, then you shouldn't just be going around popping and whooping and because the child may not understand why you're why you're disciplining them in a physical manner. You know what I'm saying? But even in that, like for instance, back when I was married the first time, our niece and nephews came in as foster kids. It was my ex-wife's sister's kids. So they were family, but they came in as foster kids. And we hardly spanked them. But one day my niece forged my ex-wife's signature. My ex-wife was livid. And when she asked her about it, she lied about it. She was livid. And so I was like, you can't spank her because you're mad. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that when you're mad because you might act out. She said, "Well, I told her when Uncle David get home, he gonna get her." And I said, "Great. Well, I got it because David." So I'm like, "All right." I thought it was funny as hell because I said I did the same thing with my mom, but I was in high school. She doing this in kindergarten. I thought it was hilarious. I said she's more advanced than me. So I had to go upstairs and I had to like spank her, right? And I wasn't even upset, but it was like the fear we had to follow through. So I said, "All right, here's what I'm gonna do." I said, "I'm just gonna, get a little small belt and I'm gonna get her just on her backside." I said, "But I'm gonna talk to her first. Like I'm gonna drag it out." So I went in the room. I said, "What you do to your auntie and why?" So I just sat there, kept doing this. She, Uncle David, Uncle David. So when I finally got her, I got her like 3 times, right? And she was crying, I was crying. I went to my ex-wife and she was crying. And I'm like, I told her, I said, "You know what? I ain't spanking that girl no more." I said, "If she murders somebody, you got to do it." I said, "I'm not spanking that little girl because that's my baby. I'm trying to get her to understand, and she didn't understand. But you didn't threaten her with the fear of God, and so now Uncle David got to follow through." But I said, from this point forward, I'll spank the boys if I have to. You got to spank Aaliyah. I'm not touching. I'm not spanking no more because it just everybody was crying. You know what I'm saying? So I really feel that if you raise them where you, Al, like you said, if you can discipline them in the beginning when they're toddlers, then when they get to the point to where they 6, 7, 8, hopefully you don't have to ever use a belt or ever use your hand. It's just words at that point because you've already shown them, why you're disappointed, and things of that nature. But I remember that specifically, Nesh. I was like, it didn't feel good to spank her, and I only popped her like 3 times, but I ain't like it at all.
No.
Mm-mm.
Wild topic.
A real topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real topic. Real topic. All right.
It's
So
like
look, Nesh, I know Nesh has to go. Al and
12.
Kara, you want to hang out or you gonna go?
I'm here. I'm here.
I'll hang out for a little bit.
All right. Hey Nesh, thank you so much for sharing.
See you
I
later,
promise
Ness.
you I promise you, Nesh, I wasn't attacking you. I appreciate you. I was just
No,
using you
I
as an
don't want them at
example
all.
and
I
the
do not.
popping as an example.
It's a
So I
dialogue.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. See you
Yeah.
soon.
Dialogue was good. So now we know spanking and popping are similar but different, and whooping is worse and beating is worse. So
And figure out
keep that
another
in
solution.
mind. Another solution. Hey, I appreciate you, Ness. Thanks for joining. Nesh, everybody. Thanks for joining, Nesh. All right. So
Who
now
on
then,
the
then
head
there
so
was 3.
big?
Oh, that's the zoomed in effect. Hey. All right. So we kind of covered everything, so we can leave it open and have general discussion. I can let you guys have the floor because I know you guys came on a little later. So um anything y'all want to share just about, spanking or whooping or child rearing? I think we made some really good points tonight.
I'm gonna share something. So, although I don't have children, from a former relationship, my ex's son, who's now a teenager, still calls me because whenever he tries to talk to either of his parents, they just fly off at the handle. So
Oh,
yeah, I think sometimes the some parents who just jump to spanking and physical abuse, it's like they don't want to just listen and try to help the child reason through things. Because, in my opinion, part of parenting is helping model how to think through a process and why you've come to a conclusion or why you're telling them to do something or not to do something, right? Of course, if there's like imminent danger, like a kid putting their hand on the stove, you've got to stop that. But if you're trying to teach them how to think through and reason for themselves, like you've got to create some sort of open dialogue to be able to have those conversations.
y'all go ahead and discuss because I'm going to
Well,
take a
and,
30
and,
second
and
to go to the restroom.
I agree with you, and I'll play. Well, I won't even say devil's advocate. I'll just flip the other side of that coin.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a parent, and I know the type of child that I was, which shaped me to become the parent that I am, based on the type of child that I was and the way that my mom disciplined me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think I said this before you came on. Me and my mom have a running joke. When I go visit her, it's like when we all talk about it, I say, you know, I got let's say I got 100 ass whoopings. 50 of them I did not deserve. Now the other 50, okay, yeah, I was that child. I needed my ass whooped to understand and learn. But I use that concept as going into becoming a parent myself to understand how did I feel when I was being physically disciplined. Because I'm not going to call it child abuse. I'm just not. I'm not with today's society on that bullshit. Because had my mom not did what she did with her physical discipline, I could have been one of these men out here robbing, shooting, killing, raping. And I think people lose sight of that. I was a wild child. And if you don't discipline me, that friend of yours that didn't get raped could have got raped by me because I didn't have the discipline. So, but what I did, and that's not taking it to the extreme, that's just being real. But what I did is once I became a parent, I said, okay, what part of the discipline that my mom instilled do I not like? And it was the physical part, and also some of the mental part. I mean, it didn't hurt me mentally because, like I said, it helped me. It made me stronger. But when I became a parent to my kids, it's like, okay, hey, I'm going to talk to you first. When that doesn't work, I'm going to grab you. And I am going to force you to listen and understand. I'm going to develop a disciplinary system so that you'll understand. And like I said, when my kids were crawling, cool. That's when the pops came. As they grew up, because I'm a man with the bass in my voice and I have that look, they understood. And as they grew up, I can, since my son was a toddler, I've never put my hand on him, or my daughter for that matter. And so now at age 9, all I got to do is give him that look of disappointment and act right is there. So I think although every kid is different, I do believe that discipline can come in all forms of fashions other than physical abuse.
Yeah.
I agree
You want
110%. I remember one of my punishments was not being able to perform in a recital that I had practiced for.
Oh, great discipline.
But I actually didn't do what I was accused of.
What do you mean?
I'm still a little mad about that. But but that was one of the punishments that really stuck out to me. So I do agree with you that
Uh-oh. Did we lose Kara?
Yeah, she fell off.
Kara, your Wi-Fi. What's up, Yvette?
Hey,
Yvette,
what's going on?
hey.
What's up,
It's been a
Yvette?
crazy
Yvette,
night.
you got your AirPods, Yvette? Because I'm getting some
I
feedback.
can't find them. So I was trying to jump on here and put my barrel, and I'm like, can't find them. Can you hear me
Okay,
okay
no
or no?
worries. We're getting a little echo. I can hear
Okay,
you, but I'm getting echo.
I know because my thing on my computer is messed up. Let me take me down and let me look for them real quick because I just want to chime in real quick. And
Okay.
I've been listening.
Okay.
I don't know why my phone would not let me jump on. I was like, no, why is this not working? But
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Yvette. My bad. Go ahead and come on back. Bring your light too, Yvette. We need a little more light. Okay, cool. It's so funny because I see people in the green room before they come on. So I saw Yvette, trying to figure it out.
Scrambling, yeah.
Kara, you were saying something before your Wi-Fi dropped.
yeah, taking things away, I think can be really effective. And I forget the young lady's name, the therapist, who was
Nesh.
talking about Nesh, about the activities that she was involved in. That's what kind of reminded me about that. So if you have a bunch of things that your child is interested in outside of just straight academics, you got something you can remove that they
Yeah.
probably care about. Maybe not those piano lessons that they probably don't want to go anyway. But that
Unless
softball
unless they
team
Teddy
or
Riley or some or
what?
Kirk
Yeah,
Franklin.
yeah. But something that they enjoy doing that also helps fill up their day. But I'm still mad about the recital. I ain't gonna lie.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you,
hmm
when they took that recital from you,
hmm
as an adult now, do you think that the punishment deserved the crime deserved the punishment?
Had I, and I don't remember what it was. Had I done whatever I was accused of doing, then maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But I
Okay.
think my mom just kind of lived in this fear of me not turning out as a productive citizen.
Yes.
So any like whiff of wrongdoing was cause for like punishment.
Right.
That makes sense.
It does make sense. And again, I asked that question from the standpoint of today's
Wi-Fi is tripping tonight.
with today's society so big on this mental health thing. I don't subscribe to it, so I won't go into that. But from a mental aspect of the discipline that my mom brought to the table with I got yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
I got compared to my older brother,
Yeah.
but from a mental standpoint, that made me stronger because I took that info and not only did I say, okay, my thing was I'm gonna be just like my brother. And I eventually, I'm just as strong, if not stronger than he is now from a mental aspect. However, it did not cause the damage that most people today's society think that causes. It caused me no damage. I think it helped more than it hurt.
Okay, but
So
I'm gonna jump in because that's you. You look at somebody like I'm gonna pick the Jackson 5, right? I'm sure, before Michael got there,
Wait. Pick
each
somebody else. Let's get out of entertainment.
no. I'm only picking them. I'm only picking them because it's a brother structure system. I mean, you could pick Jordan and them, but I'm picking the Jackson 5 because Michael was the youngest and he ended up being the most popular, right? But I'm
Okay.
sure before he got there was another brother that was at the tip top and another brother, because that's how
I
it
see
is in
what, yeah.
siblings. Then eventually the youngest one comes up and he ends up surpassing. Um, in your case, the comparisons to your brother may have helped you and made you stronger. But in some
Yes.
cases, hey, what if Jermaine or Marlon was jealous because they kept getting compared to the youngest one? Or what if Michael was jealous and he was driven because he kept getting compared to the older ones, and then when he finally ascended, he wasn't gonna let go of the throne. That's what I'm saying. It helped you, but some people don't handle that sort of. I'll go there and say that sort of mental, emotional whoopings. They
Right.
don't
But you
handle
know
those
what though,
well.
Dave? That is the new that comes with having multiple children. And I think when we get into a society where you're trying to where you're trying to make everything from a perfect standpoint is the problem. As we know now, and we will always know, there is not now, or there will never be a perfect way to parent a child. Yet we live in a society that is trying to make it perfect and trying to make a one-way system where everybody take care of their children and parent the same way. It's totally impossible.
So I don't think that there's an attempt to make it a one-way system. I think there's an attempt to set standards for which acting at or below those are criminal. There has to be a line drawn somewhere.
Right, but again, and let's use you and I for an example.
Mhm.
If you think me popping a child on the butt that's 8 months old crawling, if you think that's and the physicalness of it is abuse, that stops the parenting for me, for my child to grow up, and for me to instill discipline within that child. And I think that's a problem.
It does. Yeah.
And
Yvette, sorry.
go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut y'all off. I was just trying to make sure Yvette was good.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear us?
And so
I
with that,
don't know how long it's gonna last, but yeah, I'm good for a minute.
and Karen,
Go
like
ahead,
I
Al.
said, I agree with you, but I also think that when society and the government start setting all of these guidelines, I think they help, but they also hurt.
Nothing's going to be perfect, right? But you have to also think about like even truancy laws. There has to be some sort of standard, some set of rules and what is acceptable in our society. And there are going to be people who disagree.
Yes.
With everything, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It sucks,
It
but
does.
that's kind of where we're at. And I do understand parents' desire to want to parent their children as they see fit, right? But the government still feels like there needs to be some sort of standard set
And
across the
I
board.
agree. I agree because like Dave like what Dave published, I don't believe in abuse. I believe in discipline. I think that there is. I don't think that line is as thin as it used to be.
Yeah. But also, like every human is different, and we have never met in person. But I imagine your hands are bigger than mine.
Yes, definitely.
So me, you know, like David's example, 50%. My using that, I'm only 5'1", versus you,
I'm
especially in
6'2"
a
with it.
yeah,
Yes,
in a heated moment.
Mhm.
You know, might not be a eight
Mhm.
month year old child, or it could be a 10-year-old kid or whatever.
Yeah.
That would cause more damage.
of course.
Yeah, and
And
it's more in the heat of the passion of something that people lose all
well,
sensibility.
and and to agree to jump on your side with this, not that we're on opposite sides. I
What?
think once scenarios get to that point, if you're still putting your hands on a 10-year-old, I think you do need somebody needs to step in. Come on, you had 10 years to get this right and get this under
Mm.
control.
Mm.
And so if you have a 10-year-old that's out of control, I think, yes, you do need to be looked upon with the microscope as a parent.
That's a great point, Al. That's a great point. That's saying, like, so that's going back to the concept of if you raise your child and put the fear of your parents and the respect of your parents and the fear of authority and you kind of correct them early with just like the little love taps on the booty and the stern
Yes.
word.
Yes.
Then by the time they 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you shouldn't have to graduate to the belt because like you said, you've kind of established early, and like Nesh was saying, you put them in a system. You know what I'm saying? You put some structure around there, around the house. I think that that's huge because, and maybe you guys, I'm not going to make an excuse for our parents. I know that a lot of us were raised with single parents. I know a lot of us were raised, um, as latchkey kids. You get home before your parents, and you got to make sure the dishes are washed, and you put that in the oven and turn it on, and don't touch it. Just leave it there. And we had to do all that kind of stuff, man. Not
It's
making
called
excuses, but
Exactly.
discipline. It's called
yeah.
discipline.
But I'm also saying that we didn't have both parents there. So
Right.
so therefore our parents might have been a little more heavy-handed when it came to discipline because, you know, you leave us to our devices, we could burn the whole house down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was my experience as well. My dad passed when I was 8, and I was definitely still getting whoopings when I was 10. Can't remember till how much longer after that. Um, Most of them I don't think were really warranted. I think a lot of the times it was my mom's frustration with her new reality. But that shouldn't have been something I should have to deal with as a kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what's the answer to that? I don't know. But
Right.
maybe that's
Right.
also why I'm not really I'm not so pro spanking. And the last time she spanked me, I shook the hell out of her. And or she tried to, and I should think she realized
Right.
this
So
might not
Dave,
work
I
out too
know,
well.
uh, Dave, I know I
Go
wanted
ahead,
to
man.
jump in here because I had mentioned, yes, I want to do the spanking thing because I remember here in Florida back when our Senator Lawton Child, or Governor Lawton Child was here, and we were debating on passing a law about spanking here in South Florida. And I heard some of the conversations that was going on as I'm driving, trying to get back so I can jump on. And I had wrote a letter, and I wanted to find time to read it here, but I of course didn't because everything changed. But we had a panel at the PBS station here at that time to side one side for and one side not, and you listen to all the arguments. Oh, but spanking never teaches your kid anything because if you're spanking them, you're teaching them to hit, opposed to it's abusive and everything like that. And I think sometimes I think what a lot of people don't understand, again, if you start off early with the don't touch that, don't do that, where you're disciplining them early, because it's crazy when you see a 2-foot fidget, I call them, little kids running the whole household because the parents are afraid to do anything or say anything. So I think if you started off early, and there's a difference between a spanking and a beating, and that was part of the conversation of the panel too, was is it if an open-handed to opposed to a closed hand, a belt or a switch, compared to. So these were some of the conversations that had been had at that time. And like as you mentioned just a minute ago, about most of us was raised in a single family home. My father died when I was 6, so there was no one but my mother. However, at that time, the respect of my mom and the understanding that she is by herself, and the fact that and she had 5 of us, so each of us was different. I didn't have to be honest, I didn't have to get too many spankings. All my mother had to do was just have that tone of disappointment, and I would be crushed because she was disappointed in me. I always wanted my mother's approval. But
Hmm.
now my sister, not so much. I mean, it didn't matter. This girl was getting beat down left and right. It just because that's the way it had to be done. It was like she was just hard headed. And I find that the same with my boys. I raised 2 boys by myself as well, and both of them were night and day. But I did the conversation where we talked. I would do, and I would do what I call the Sunday free day, where we would talk on Sundays, where you can express how you feel in your way you want to say it. And this was foreign to people who would look in. I had a boyfriend at the time who would, my son said to me one day, Mom, he doesn't call me mom, he calls me mother. Mother, sometimes I just want to choke you. And I said, yeah, I'm sure. I understand. And my friend was like, oh, if I ever talk like that to my mom, I get smacked. I'm like, see, but that's the difference. The problem with a lot of parents is, and adults, I know we're busy, but you got to take that moment out to listen, and you got to hear what your kids are thinking, and you need to see what they go through, because we're so busy just running about our little world. We got these little people in our world too, and these little people are growing, and when we kiss them on their heads and send them off to school, they're dealing with so much that we don't even know what's happening in their world. So you got to understand where their aggression is coming from and what they're frustrated with. And if we don't take the time to do these things, that's how you end up with these out of control teenagers, because we don't take a moment to hear what they got to say. We're so busy, shut up, because I said so. That's not always it. Maybe they need to say so, and we need to listen.
Right. And, and I will add on to that. One of the issues that I've always had, and like I said, I've been a parent for an awfully long time. One of the problems that I've always had with that is I don't understand how parents forget that we used to be kids.
That part.
We didn't go. I used to be a child. So what these kids are doing, nothing's new. What kids are doing now, we did the exact same thing.
Different day.
So you would think, once you decide to become a parent, you should automatically have an idea of what you're about to experience, because all they're going to do is do the exact same thing that you did.
No, exactly. Mr. Al has Mr. on his birth certificate. He came out a grown up. Okay.
He popped out the womb. Hello, I'm Daddy.
With the glasses.
Well, and Karen, I'll tell you, I was that one child, and I'm not glorifying it, but I was that one child. Nobody wanted. You didn't want me as your child. And I was out there. I was tough. I was disobedient. As a kid,
hard-headed, but
very hard-headed. Yes. And then I had an older brother that I wanted the love that he was getting. And so I acted out. So I remember how my mom and her boyfriends that were close enough and around long enough to instill discipline as well. I remember all of that. So as I grew up, I told myself, I'm not going to do A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z when I become a parent.
But you heard what you just said, and that's part of what has happened to the kids today, because of the discipline that you may have had as a child. A lot of adults grow up and goes, I'm never going to do that to my child. And now we have kids who don't listen or respect authority. Right. And that's where we're at right now. And I still think there's a fine line. You can still instill respect and still can instill authority in a way that, that you can still have well-behaved children and grown-ups.
Yes.
If you do it correctly, you don't have to take away what was done to you. Just do it in a different way. I mean, and I experimented. Like I said, I raised 2 boys by myself, and they were night and day. And that's usually the case too. Like you just said, you were seeking attention because you thought one was getting more love than the other. Just recently, my 2 young men that I have thought each of them was getting love differently. You know what I'm like? It was like, oh, well, you love him more. No, I did not.
And I'm a boy, so I get it.
Exactly. But they were different because first of all, one is he's a thinker. He's an observer. So he don't say much. He observes everybody in the room. He doesn't talk much. He's going to peep your game or whatever the case is. He's there checking everybody out. He only speaks when spoken to. The other one is a little bit more of my personality. He's friendly, wants to be loved, people pleaser, and at least he was. Retrospect, just super friendly, and he'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's put it that way. I shouldn't say too much, but he gives people the benefit of the doubt because I give people the benefit of the doubt. You show me, I'm going to be good to you until you show me other. where
Right.
the other one don't care what you show him. You ain't getting all of that. You're not
And you
gonna get
know,
none of that from him.
the one thing that I developed in my parental skills is in my household, it is a dictatorship, not a democracy.
Mm.
And once I instilled that and they understood where the higher power came from, it worked because I do talk to my children. And I let them know, hey, but I talk to them at their age,
Right.
a little bit, I instill a little bit more info. And once they get to the high school age and I can really pour on, then I'll pour on. But I think, again, parenting starts from day one. Discipline starts from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't skip the process.
And then I struggled with the whole do I beat or whatever. But like I was saying, I had the two, so they were both different. So one, I barely ever had to. First of all, I laid down the laws. I was like, look, especially as they got older, if you lied, you will be punished if need be. But if you lie to me when I ask a question, your punishment will be tenfold. But now, if you sit and talk with me and tell me the truth, then I will listen to what you've said and I will make a decision on the severity of whatever the situation was. And that's how I
Nice.
ruled in my house. So
Nice.
my kids would also do that. Be like, well, mommy, and they would always do the disclaimer. Mommy, remember when you said if we tell you the truth first? And so they always do the disclaimer in there. And I'm like, okay, so what happened? And then they would tell me whatever the crime was. Well, I made a mistake and I broke da 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 da. I had scraped up all this money for this beautiful black and white vase that I wanted so badly, an Indian sculptured vase. And I finally got it. So both of them was fighting. And all I heard was a crash. They was like, oh, they knew they were about to get it. But I didn't beat them. I didn't even hit them. You know what I did? I made them both stand in the middle of my living room hugging each other. I made them hug each other. And I told them, y'all will not stop hugging each other till I feel the love.
Great.
And I wouldn't wash the
Great.
dishes. And then I would come back and do something else. And they like, Mommy, do you feel the love yet? No, I don't feel it. I don't feel no love.
Great
All right.
tactic.
Well, hey,
Great
speaking of feeling the love, we gotta let Kara feel the love. She's been here for a couple hours. It's East Coast time. Kara, you gotta bail out, right? You gotta head out.
Yeah, I'm tired.
All right. Well, here, do
I've
me
been
this favor.
watching you. Thank you.
Give us your summarization, your soliloquy, your conclusion
My
on the matter
conclusion.
of not child abuse. Good Lord, discipline or abuse. Spanking your child, is it discipline or abuse?
Um, I think too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. And if all else fails, if when I have children they don't turn right, I'm gonna just ship them off to Mr. Altaric. I'm sure he will get them together real quick.
He gonna ship them to
Send me back a better product.
Send them to me. I love it.
Listen, man. Yeah, you can't be their friend. You got to be their parent before you're their friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You got
but I
to
think it's
set that discipline early.
all jokes aside, it is very individual, right? And so I
Yeah.
think, when the parent really takes the time to understand who that child is and what kind of things they need to become their best version of themselves, then, you have a best case scenario. I think the problem comes in when everybody tries to do a one size fits all, especially if you have multiple children. That doesn't work. So.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. Well, look, that's Kara Rhymes with Sarah. Kara, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining. All right, we'll see you next week, Kara. I really
You look
appreciate
so
you.
pretty.
Yeah, I had dinner. All right.
Hey,
Thank
how
you.
was
Good
it?
night.
How was the function? Was it good?
Listen, it's probably still going on. Only because I am your friend. I peel myself away from the
Man,
craziness that's happening out
I
there.
appreciate it. Well, go on back out there, have fun, enjoy
Now
yourself. All right.
I'm going to bed.
All right. Hey, I appreciate you, Kara. That's Kara Rhymes with Sarah.
All right,
All right. See you next
Right,
week.
right.
All right. And we have just in that moment, I see somebody in the green room. Now let me do this. This person ain't been here in a month of Sundays, and she's just gonna
Wow.
pop up on tonight. Hey, Dave. Like you got some explaining to do. Yeah, I can't call you a day one no more. I don't know. You might be a day 1.5 or something. A day two. Are you ready to come to the stage? Wave if you're ready to come to the stage. All right, she's ready. Come on up to the stage, my friend, my sister from another Mister, Susie. All right,
Hey,
Susie, you gotta
Susie Q.
unmute your phone, Susie Q. There you go.
Hey,
What up,
I'm a
Susie?
day. Don't
Hey,
play
how
with me.
you?
Day one.
No, you done lost a half a day. I don't know. It's been I ain't seen you in about a
12
year or two.
hour.
Yeah, I know,
Hey,
right?
everyone.
Hey, how
Hey,
you?
Susie, I haven't seen you in a while either, but I haven't even been on here like that, except for Dave and every blue moon, even Kevin, because it's always too late.
Yeah.
What's up,
Well, I'm
Nana?
here now. Happy to see you guys.
That's what's
Hey,
up.
Same
happy to
here.
see you too. So, it's been a while since you've been here, Susie. So things are a little different on YouTube. First, I want you to, if you can, I'm gonna put you back in the green room, and I want you to rotate your phone to landscape. Okay, do that for me. I can still see you. They can't see you, but I can see you. So just so people know, when you come to the green room, the host can see you. So don't be putting on your clothes. Don't be digging in your nose. Like I can see all that. So, right. All right. Wave when you're ready, Susie. There you go. Tilt it up. There you go. Because we was looking at your midriff. All right. Cool. You ready, Susie? I think she might be ready. Oh, she froze. Okay. Shout out to the people that's in the building, that's on YouTube, that's on Instagram and on Facebook. What's up, man? I see you in the building. Man, it's in the building. All right, Susie, when you come back, just wave. Yvette, so I know you said you wrote a letter, but did we ever get to the bottom of it, Yvette? Do you believe and do you feel that spanking is the same as whooping and is the same as beating? Are they different? And are they discipline or are they like abusive?
They,
Yvette.
those are three different things, scenarios. All three of those. Those are three different scenarios.
So what's the difference between
Um,
spanking and whooping?
okay, so I'm getting ready to express that. Okay, so a spanking for me, my description of a spanking is, because I used to do them. I would either smack the hand, smack the back of the hand, tap the behind. That's a spanking. So it's like like when little toddlers, just like a stop that, bow, bow,
Mhm.
just what you do to spank them, stop, stop. Or they tap the legs, stop that, sit that down, sit your butt down. You know how we do. And those are spankings that also, develop boundaries for babies. So when you have little toddlers and they're starting to walk, and that's how you also give them danger, like the fire. Don't touch that. That's bad. So that's how you
Mhm.
start training them. That's why I'm saying I don't understand how these kids get out of control and they now burning down the house at 12 and 15. Like, why are you still playing with matches? you know, so it's like, why is this happening? Now, a spanking, now that's a spanking. Now, a whooping is, I will use a belt or a switch, not me, myself, but you use a belt, or back in the day, my day was a switch with my grandparents, is to go out there and get the switch from from the tree, and you getting whipped with a switch, and that should hurt. But so that's a whooping, but again, it is still the legs, the buttocks. You're gonna do a little bit of jumping around dance, the ooh ah dance. You're gonna do a little bit of that, but that's a little bit more forceful. That's a little bit more. I don't even want to deal with that no more. That's when you in the room crying. So, like, that's what the whooping gonna do to you.
Hmm.
But now, now that beating, I think, is where you draw a line. Beating is sometimes where you get somebody who, with a closed fist, hit their child. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like come here, and one of those numbers, that's a beating. Anything that's leaving bruises is a beating. You're not supposed to bruise your child. Why would you want this for your child? You should never want to bruise them. Okay, no more wire hangers. That's the switch. You got grandma with the switch.
Yeah, you see that
Okay,
switch?
and
Woo!
you see the switch, but you got to understand where that even comes from their era. Switches,
Yes.
okay?
Yep.
Where
Yep.
beatings come from in the first place. That is a part of that slave mentality. That's what you got in order for the slave master to whip you into shape to not want to do something. So switches came from that era, which is the same where beatings somewhat came from. People who believe that beating is how you make someone, you beating them into submission.
Yeah.
So there's history to this too.
And I like where you're going with that, Yvette. I like where you're going with that, and it's interesting because the concept I think we should keep. The overall mindset and the concept we should keep. The actuality of it is what we should do away with.
Right.
And
explain. What do you mean?
What I mean by that is, again, when you instill discipline, like I said, now, like in that video, she walked in with that switch, right? That's not to say she was going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
That just gave it the mentality that, hey, if you don't listen and do what I say, this is what's going to occur.
Right. Consequence.
Yeah. So I it's unfortunate that.
Can I jump in a moment?
By all means, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Did you finish your point, Al?
I got. I love this topic. I got more.
Okay. All right. So I have a 16-year-old. I only have one. These things are important. I had as many as I could take care of emotionally. I didn't know
what
children, as I could take care of emotionally.
Okay.
I didn't know how the finances were going to work out. I wasn't concerned about that, but thank God I've always been able to take care of my son financially. But the important thing to me has always been to have as many as I can take care of emotionally. Because as generations move on, we should get better than the generation before us in every area, including our parenting. And I feel like the parents before us were not as knowledgeable as we should be with communicating with our children. I was beaten or spanked or whatever. We never called it spanked. I'm Jamaican. Everything was a beating. It didn't matter what was used.
Everything was a beating?
Everything. It didn't matter what you used. And most of the time, it hurts. It's always painful.
Wait, so Susie, this is an important point.
Where are you right now?
Miami.
Okay.
So this is an important point because we talked about it here in America, and spanking, this is defined at the beginning of the show. All the guests agreed that spanking is typically done with your hand on the bottom. Whooping is when you use a belt. So if you use a belt, it's no longer a spanking, it's a whooping. And whooping is usually done again on the bottom, on the butt. Maybe it could cross into the legs and stuff. But they said beating was a harsher form of whooping. It's still with a belt, but it's a harsher form. You might be angry, and we didn't even
back.
Yeah, and we didn't go so far as to say is beating abuse, because when I grew up, like you said, Susie, I got my butt beat. I got beating. Like when I was a kid, okay, maybe I got a whooping when I was a kid. I don't think I ever got a spanking. I don't remember recollecting my mom saying,
I've never got a spanking.
No, my mom said, I'm gonna whoop your ass, I'm gonna beat your black ass, whoop, 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 whoop.
Yep. Yeah.
That's and we were threatened within inches of our life, and then they would do it. And then I explained how it went from a leather belt to an extension cord, or we call it an ironing cord. First was an ironing cord, then extension cord, then it went to coaxial cable for me. And again, this is my Apple cord, but it's as close I can get. It's as close as I can get to a coaxial cable. I would have to go unplug the cable from the wall and bend it
Well,
to show you what she had to
I
do
have
for
some
us
in
in
here
high
I can
school.
show you.
here's the funny
But
thing, Dave. When we
hold
talk
on,
about that,
Al.
because you mentioned how you got grabbed by your chest with no shirt
Yeah, my
on.
dad. Yeah.
Now check this
No
out,
shirt
though.
on.
Now here's what's funny. Well, as men, we used to get beat like this, like
This.
Yeah.
a
That's
lot
his
of my
Wi-Fi.
uncles, as they would call it, chastising us,
Yeah.
fist to the chest. And as little boys, we supposed to take it because one is discipline, two is toughen us up to get ready for the world as a man.
So Al, let's make a distinction though, right? When my uncles, when my older cousins would physically roll up a fist and hit me on the shoulder, sometimes hit me on the chest, try to make me toughen up. That normally wasn't in response to I did something wrong and I'm getting a whooping with a closed fist. That was a different form of toughening you up, hazing, if you
Man up.
will, manning up. It was see when you gotta understand, and this is what I want the world to understand. If your child does something wrong and that's a spanking. If your child does something wrong and you get him with a belt, that's a whooping. If your child does something wrong and you kind of swinging, that's a beating. But if your child does something wrong and you ball your fist, I would say that's abuse. And I want to just point out, Al, that the ball in the fist that happened with me wasn't in a I'm whooping you standpoint. It was in a you need to toughen up. Let me talk to you standpoint. It was a different moment.
And see, and
Would you would
I
you would
agree with
you
that.
would you agree with that? Would you agree with that or no?
I agree, but however, the way I grew up,
Yeah,
that line was so thin it blended. So
I understand.
my uncle, instead of my mom pulling her belt off and whooping my ass, he was like, no, let me get him. And I'm disciplining him and I'm toughening him up all at the same time.
At the same time, I understand.
And like I said earlier in this, it worked.
So I want to get back to Susie, because Susie was making a point.
Go ahead,
She's Jamaican.
Susie.
She said everything was a beating. So Susie, I didn't mean to cut you off, but share with us. Share with us, was you saying there's no difference between whooping and beating? Like, it was all beatings.
Okay, the reason why I say that, like earlier, Yvette said, Yvette, you made a statement about like the bruising and stuff, like bruising is abuse.
Correct.
And I disagree with that simply because sometimes you can bruise from something very minor. Let's say something hot, the curling iron accidentally touches you and you get a bruise. Or like some domestic violence people, they get punched in the stomach and, they punch in places that don't bruise easily. That's still abuse.
Right.
Like if it hurts, it hurts. That's how I look at it. Like, that's why I say with my mother, like she used to beat us. Like she beat us. Sometimes it's with items, whatever's next to her. If she has a lot of energy, she's going to take us down with her hands. And at the time growing up, like I didn't feel like I was being abused because that was my normal. Like all of us used to get beaten. What bothered me was, even now, I don't resent her for beating me. I have bruises all over my body from my mom beating me, and I still never felt like I'm being abused. What I didn't like was all the beatings I got that did not belong to me. There was not enough communication. She'll ask me if I did it, but she'll never believe me. And that did something to me. Like, lady, what is the point? Let's just get to it. It made me tough. I don't like being tough. Do you know how many years it took for me to undo the toughness? I am a female. I don't want to be tough. If I have to defend myself physically, great. I have that, but I don't want to be a tough person. And it took me a lot of work to undo that. And to not be believed when you're telling the truth all the time makes you want to quiet yourself. Like, why should I even speak? And the least of my issues were the beatings. And every single one of them hurt, like hurt bad for days. But that was normal. And that was the least of my problems. I'm like, okay, if I get in a fight tomorrow, I'm not afraid to fight a man, woman, child to this day. But what will hurt me is if a person doesn't believe me and they're asking me something. That hurts me. If a person says
I was gonna
Go
say, and I
ahead.
agree with you with that because that was that was one of my son's issues too. Like I said, I didn't beat him a lot, but he didn't like being. Well, no one does. No one likes being accused of
Right.
something that they did not do. So that's
Mm-hmm.
just that's a normal emotion for the situation. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to feel like I'm telling you the truth, and but that's what's wrong with the country right now altogether. We believe a lie before we believe the truth anyway. So
Exactly.
I think that's just a human nature thing now where you can be jumping up and down blue in the face with truth, but now I can be red with lie written all over my forehead and you will believe that. That's just what we
Exactly.
are.
Because people are
You
afraid to
know,
be hurt. They don't want to believe. They don't want to look like a fool. And it's okay
Right.
to look like a fool sometimes. That's why they don't want to believe anyone, because they don't want to look stupid. It's okay to be wrong sometimes. Like, it's
mm,
okay. So that's why when I raise my son, you always say, I'm never going to beat my child. I said that because when I pushed him out, just carrying him for all that time, and then I pushed him out, I was like, oh my God, look at this. Look what I created. How could I hit
What I
that? Oh my
did.
God, no. Like that was the simple thought process behind that. And as he was growing up, our basis has always been we're going to communicate. I don't care if you're only 2 years old. As soon as you learn how to talk, I'm going to listen. If I'm coming down on you and you interrupt me and say, excuse me, I'm going to stop and let you intervene. And maybe you're going to defend yourself and say, no, this is how it happened. I'm always going to listen. We still have that to this day. I didn't beat him for many, many years because our communication was great. He'd listen, we'd have the conversation. He wasn't perfect. That's fine. Later on, what I realized was I was taking on traits from my mother as he became older towards being a teenager. I'd get frustrated with him not listening. I'd have fear. It was a fear that caused the frustration that you're not going to be okay in life. Not how it made me feel individually. I'm afraid that you're not going to be okay in life because you refuse to listen to me. I have a fear that you're going to end up in jail or hurt or whatever if you don't listen. So if I'm talking and talking, you're not listening, I get frustrated. Now I'm putting my hands on you. I feel like crap if I put my hands on my child because that's a moment of weakness for me. Beating him is not going to make him listen. It's just going to get rid of my frustration in that moment. And because I have a conscience, I'm going to feel bad about it. I don't think my mom understood that what she was doing was wrong. So she still feels like that's fine. I feel bad. I'm like, if you couldn't listen, if
That
I
was her
couldn't,
error, though. That was the error
exactly,
she
That's
didn't
what I was going to say.
understood
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
that's part of understanding and doing better. But there's
exactly.
a fine line between that. That's where the problem is. Like I said, you have parents who like what you just described, and to her, in her mind, that's all she knew. That's what she was taught. So that's what she did. So you
Hmm.
took the opposite. So sometimes we go to the extreme with the opposites and we thinking it's the best thing. So now as a mother of a young man that's out here playing basketball, I'll be watching your stuff. Um, I'll be following. He out here doing some good things. So you're doing good. Don't doubt
Thank
yourself.
you.
You're doing good. However, they will have to still walk their own walk. They have their own journey. They have to get in some trouble sometimes to know and to understand. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you got to let them fall. Now, when I took one of my sons to college, I dropped him off to college, and I felt I prepared him for the world. And and see, and it's gonna come. The best thing that you could ever hear is your child calling you back saying, "Mama, you know what? You were right." My son went to college. He goes, "Mommy, thank you for making me make my bed up and showing me how to wash dishes. These boys don't know how to do nothing." He was frustrated with his dorm room buddies because they didn't know how to do nothing. And so now my new lesson was, okay, because you do know how to clean and you do know how to wash dishes, don't turn into the den mother. Make sure
True.
you just keep your stuff clean and you let them know that, you know what I'm saying? You can show them if they don't know how,
mhm.
if they haven't been taught. But by no means do you become the den mother where you're cleaning up the dorm room. So that one's lesson. Now my
I
other
got
son,
a
you know what I'm saying, it's different.
I got a story about that. So when I was in college, my mom was a single parent, and my father worked for the state, and my mom's a teacher. So they weren't rich, right? So when I went to college, um, we took out school loans. I took out some, and I had a couple of grants. And my mom and them were like, "Hey, look, we helped you get your tuition. We tapped out. You know, you gonna have to figure out how you gonna get your lunch card and your books. That's on you." So I had to learn early. So early on in school, before I found a part-time job, I would go to some of my homies that had, well-to-do parents. Like, "Hey, dog, can I use your lunch card?" Lunch would be 250, 350, whatever it was, something small, $5. You got $5,000 on your card because your parents are rich.
Right.
I have no card. So they'd be like, "Yeah, Dave, I got you." So they swipe it, hand it to me. I swipe it. And then some people started kind of joning on me. "Oh, Dave broke. He suffered from deficit spending. Ah, ha, Dave broke." I'm like, wow. Okay, I thought we was friends. So I ended up going to my mom, my uncle. I got some food stamps. And I'll never forget, y'all. I went to the store. I loaded up the fridge, with food and all this stuff. They had old dishes in the kitchen that the kids had thrown away because they didn't want to wash it. Man, I scrubbed that stuff down. I got all my stuff together. I think I made some fried chicken. I think I had some other potatoes. I had broccoli.
Okay.
I might threw together some spaghetti and some garlic bread. And I didn't become the den mother, Yvette, but all those brothers that laughed at me were starving and were envious. Like, "Yo, Dave, dag, man, can I get a plate, bro?" "No, you can't get no plate." The only people I literally gave a plate to are the ones that gave me the lunch card and looked out. I
I was
cooked for
gonna say,
them.
looked out for you.
I said, "Yo, you can have some of my food." So, and mind you, now that I got my food stamps, I know how to cook. You know what I'm saying, Yvette? My mom taught me how to cook. So I could get in
Right.
there and throw down. And so having parents teach you those things and give you that discipline is super, super early. And I did have the experience where I wrote my mom and said, "Mommy, you were right. You taught me this, that, and the third. You told me go to bed. You told me learn how to cook. You told me learn how to wash your clothes. You told me, like she taught me things that I wasn't trying to hear as a teenager.
Right.
But when I went to college and the other Negroes didn't know how to cook, and they might have had money, but they had no life skills.
Exactly.
You know,
That part.
I, so,
That part.
so that discipline was important to me. Susie, I got a question for you. You said
Yes.
that your mom, you said that what hurt you more was when you got beatings for things you didn't do. Or when she would ask you a question, you would tell her the truth and she wouldn't believe you, and then you get beat anyway.
Correct.
Is over disciplining your child a form of abuse, or not believing your child, or not talking to your child? Is that a form of abuse? Because I know we asked about spankings, but are there other forms
Especially
of
that last,
things?
especially that last
Talk
one
about
you
it.
just said. That one is definitely abuse. Like over disciplining, I don't know what over disciplining is, because discipline doesn't have to hurt. So I don't think that's a bad thing. But not listening to your child is definitely abuse, because you have to put that product out into the world after you're finished molding it, after you're finished raising your child. It has to be functional. So
Okay, let's
so if
stop
you're
right
not,
there.
go ahead.
Dave, I need you to clarify what not listening to your child means. Before, because I agree with Susie up to
Yeah,
an extent.
yeah,
I have to understand. I
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
understand that question.
So not listening to your child, in the context of what I was saying, was not believing your child is a better way to say it. When
Okay,
her mother
okay,
asked her
okay,
a
okay.
question and she
Now
gave her
I'm on
a
page.
honest answer, and her mom just is like, "Hey, I don't care. You
I
gonna
got it.
catch these."
Yep.
Okay, now that
I'm
right there,
gonna
that
let
right
her
there
finish,
is.
and then I'm gonna chime.
So you go catch
Go
these
ahead.
parents. Dave, but
So I'm trying not
I
to
took
crack
it as
jokes.
that.
Yeah,
I took it as how you said it, how you just explained it, and I also took it as not hearing me out. So it's also not,
that was the
like you said,
yes.
yeah, not hearing me
Not
out. Even if you don't
believing,
believe
but
me
also
afterward,
not allowing me
not
to get
hearing.
it out. Yes.
Correct. And the reason why I think that's so abusive is because what type of person is that going to create as an adult to go into society? Right now, to this day, I love a lot of things about myself, but what I struggle with is I shut down a lot. I shut down. I don't have time for none of that extra stuff. The way people make me feel, if they make me feel, I'm getting emotional. If a person makes me feel a certain way for 2 seconds, they won't see me
Yeah.
for a long time. They won't see or hear from me for a long time because I know how I feel matters, but I've been taught that how I feel do not matter to other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned. I've learned that even though I'm a great person, I have a kind heart, I'm very helpful, I'm empathetic, all these great things about myself don't matter. But that didn't make me feel like I'm a piece of crap. It just let me know that I'm not valued by others. So every time I'm hurt, instead of like, I might try to talk about it for 2 seconds, but if it's not being received, not that a person has to agree with me. I'm very okay with people not agreeing. But if they show like they don't care what I'm saying, I'm not going to argue. I'm going to just disappear back into my safe space, which is whatever world I've created for myself. And that is what that has done to me as a person.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah.
you know what though? You said a
Now,
mouthful. I everything that you just said, even your character, is something that I feel too. Um, I guess the only difference is I've learned because I've always been, told to, also part of growing up in a certain era. We are supposed to just sit back and not to rock the boat and just be quiet and don't say nothing, don't express your feelings. So I too was kind of brought to be that way. And and girls, ladies, as I was, so ladies don't do this and ladies don't do that. So it built me a certain way. However, when I reached 40, I'm telling you, it's a liberating age. It's a liberating age for a woman. I stopped giving a damn, especially because I've been out here in this world on my own since 20. Like when I left my mother's home, I didn't just leave her home. I left and went to a whole nother country on the other side of the world.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So I left home. The best experience I've ever had. So I tell everyone, if you want to get out of your comfort zone, you want to know what you're made of, leave the comfort of people that your surroundings. Leave that. You
Mm-hmm.
will see who you are and what you become for and what you stand for more than anything. Because see, that's what taught me what I'm made of.
right.
Nobody around to fall back on but you. So you got to deal with you. That's number one. Number two, all those people with all these opinions about who you're supposed to be. Because I was little naive Yvette. That's what I was told my name was. I'm naive. Yvette's so naive. She's too friendly. But friendly is a good thing, but it can be a thing that you need to have cautious about. But that's something you have to
Yeah.
learn as you go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it teaches you just how to be you. So these people that have all these opinions usually aren't even pouring anything into your world anyway.
Well,
They're not doing anything for you. They ain't paying your bills. If I was
Right.
down and out, they ain't coming over here saying, "Oh, you know what? You down and out, and you running, you doing this, raising these kids by yourself. Let me come and help
Bingo.
you clean the
well,
house." So at that point, they don't matter. Don't give them no power, and don't change you because you're a beautiful person. Don't change you.
Thank you.
Don't change you. Be you.
Yeah.
But I have to protect me. That's the thing. That's
I
like
know you
that's
still
that's the
protect.
biggest thing. That's the hardest thing. Like, when things happen, it's like you said, you get away from the certain environment to see what you're made of. And once I found
Mm-hmm.
out, I was never like aware that I was those things I listed about myself until I pulled away from people. I used to be the type that will argue, that will fight, that will try to prove a point. I put my hands on people. I don't do that anymore. Like I don't. I just pull away because what am I fighting them for? They're still not going to care about me after I bust their skull open. So let me just go back over here where it's safe, and that's that. But life is a team sport. You know what I'm saying? Like those people will tell you, like when you're going through something, you try to explain it to them. Oh, Susie, you're strong. Okay, like I said earlier, I don't want to be strong. I want to be cared about. That's why it's so difficult for me to have certain relationships, because the type of care that I require is not monetary. I don't need anyone's money. I don't need anyone to do anything for me. If I'm presenting you something that's worthy of caring about, which I've worked hard on to make sure that I'm the type, I'm not just coming entitled, care about me because I'm a woman. No, I'm going to try to be the best person I can be so that you'd want to care about me. But if you see it's something that's there for you to take advantage of because it's something you don't get often in the world, a person that will listen to you and empathize with you and hear you out and affirm you, that's what I give. That's very rare. So you just soak all of that up and you don't think about giving back because I'm strong. Guess what I'm going to do? Disappear, because I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. So when I'm looking for romantic relationships or friendships, it's very hard because men, a lot of men, no offense to the men here, because I definitely know Dave knows how to give this, but like a lot of men don't know how to give the emotional side in a relationship. Like
Well,
let's
That's
go
true
Al.
too. That's true too. And
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
I
Yvette.
say,
well,
All right.
before we get into that, let me go back to what we were saying earlier. There's a flip side to that coin.
Oh, sorry.
We keep. No. I want you to go ahead because I have something I want to say too. But now, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, on the flip side of that coin, when we're talking about when your parent doesn't believe you.
Okay.
I was a part of that. However, as an adult, I even knew as a child, if you lie and lie and lie, and then when the truth comes up, you tell the truth, and your parent doesn't believe you, you can't hold that against your parent, which a lot of people do.
Correct.
You lied so many times before, you put that parent in a no-win situation.
True.
Yeah.
And I think us as growing up, we want to tend to forget that we did all these lies prior. And so as much as I like to empathize with people that struggle with that, I'm one. When my mom didn't believe me, when I was telling the truth, I couldn't get mad because I remember the 5 and 6 and 7 and 12 and 13 lies that I said prior. So what position did I put her in? And as kids, you don't know that. But as adults now, when I hear adults saying that, I'm like, come on, let's keep it real. I was a kid, and none of us have told the truth 100% of the time as a child.
Right.
So, you know, it's funny.
Go ahead.
You know, it's funny when you said that, Al, it made me think about something. I'm just being transparent. I was 95% an honest kid. I was happy. I had everything I wanted. So I didn't lie. I was just happy. I had my brothers. I had outside. I had sports. My mom cooked every day. I didn't need anything else. So I was happy. So I didn't lie. But being that so many people feel like people are dishonest, I'm not a liar. I don't lie. I try to live a life that I don't have to lie about, which is pretty boring, but it's still honest.
Right.
So sometimes I'll be like, man, I should just be a hoe. Like, this honest life is not it. Like, I mean,
but check this out though, Susie.
You and I must be the same. Yep, I feel the same way.
So let me ask you a question though. How many siblings do you have?
From my mother, I have 3 older brothers.
Okay, so she got 4 kids. Are your other siblings the exact same way that you are?
Not at all.
So if they are lying to her and you're telling the truth, and she's getting this from 4 different directions, at some point you're gonna have to suffer you gotta suffer the fact that
now Al, now that goes back into you getting in trouble for something you didn't do. All right.
Exactly. And she had too many kids than she could handle. That's not my fault. She should have closed her legs.
But it's a part of the process.
Now she should have closed her legs.
That's not fair. No, you're responsible for what you push out.
Susie,
but hold on.
Life isn't fair. And I think when people when you start looking at it from a fair and unfair, it's not fair for us to grow up in a single parent household. It's not
True.
fair that we have people living on the streets. I mean, come on. Life isn't fair. Life wasn't designed to be fair.
Al, you're right. But why didn't she beat the liars? Why was I the one being beaten?
I'm gonna tell you why.
The boys didn't get beaten.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you got lies coming in all different directions, it's hard to decipher what's a lie and what's the truth.
So beat everybody. Don't beat me. don't just beat me. Like, those are boys. Give them some of that action you giving me.
Susie, you know what else too? We talked
you
about
were
earlier.
100% right in that aspect. You're
100% right. Now we're crossing over, guys, into a few things, and it's important that we mention this. We said earlier, speaking on spanking your child, discipline or abuse. This is Dave Life After Dark, episode number 253. Episode 253. Can you believe it, Susie? Episode 253.
Proud of you.
The last time you was here, it might have been episode 120 something.
Leave me alone.
I'm just saying. But yo, so the topic tonight is disciplining your child. Spanking your child is a discipline or abuse. The reason I wanted to kind of jump in here is because one, we're at 3 hours. So look at God. I thought the show. Yeah, tell me about it. I was pulling teeth to get people to show up tonight. Everybody had something else going on. And just like last week, it's turning out to be a great show. So God is good. Look, y'all, when you're a child and your parents are overwhelmed or what have you, like you said, Susie, why did she beat me? Why not beat the boys? We determined earlier in the show that sometimes it's better for the woman to discipline the girls and the man to discipline the boys, right? Because I talked about a time when I had to spank my niece because my wife was upset because she forged her name. She forged my ex-wife's name at the time. And I had to whoop my niece Aaliyah, and I ain't like it. And I probably hit her 3 times with the belt, and I hated it, right? But the entire time before I whooped her, I kind of made her scared. I kept talking to her. Yeah, you're trying to put the fear of God. And when I realized after that, I said, yo, I'm not whooping her no more. When no matter, she can murder somebody, you gonna have to whoop her. I'll whoop the boys. You know, because it was too much. And my thing is this, you know, sometimes women are harder on girls than men are on girls.
That's true.
So no excuse. I'm not making an excuse for anything that happened to any of us in our childhoods. But sometimes our parents just didn't know what to do. Like, think about it. My father's not around. My parents are now divorced. My mom got to discipline me and my brother. We getting growner by the second. We eating a loaf of bread a day. we eating drinking a gallon of milk and a box of cereal in 2 days. Right. I mean, and that's supposed to last us 3-4 weeks because she don't have enough money.
Right.
And she had to, and we weren't listening. So after a while, she had to find a better way to whoop us. And it was with the cable, you know, coaxial cable from Time Warner. She got us. You know what I'm saying?
Well, again, Dave, and I agree with that because I went through. I went through similar scenarios, and you know, but times have changed.
Times have changed,
and I think this newer generation is not understanding because they just don't know. And I think it's up to us to educate
the newer generation of kids or the newer generation of parents.
Both.
Both. Oh wow.
Both.
And it's up to us to educate them. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes, because again, they're like, you know, again, doing this now is abuse. But what we have to do as the older generation is to explain to them, you know, that Columbine stuff that happened and that stuff that happened in Colorado with the shooting in the movie theater, and when I say never, it never happened in our generation.
You're right.
Man, that's true.
Not with the kids. Not with the kids. It was, I mean, back in the 70s, it was like snipers. You would find
those were adults. Those were people
that knew better. That's an adult.
This generation, the Denver thing, the Columbine thing, those were kids.
Yeah, they under 18.
And then the stuff that happens down here. I mean, we're both in Florida. So much craziness with these. I mean, right now I can't stand watching the news because we're living in the Wild Wild West down here. They've got
Mm-hmm.
these
Yeah.
open gun laws that is straightly ridiculous. I mean, and they keep adding more. Oh, now the teachers need the gun, and now this, and that's a whole nother story because they need to change it from, and they're trying to blame everything on mental health. It is not mental health; it's emotional killing because everybody's
Yes.
Yes.
emotional.
Yes.
It's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a mental killing. It's emotional. I am angry right now. I'm losing the argument. I'm losing the fight. So I have to shoot you. They just showed on the news today. Two two guys were fighting over a parking spot.
Oh well,
Parking spot.
and
So then they got into a fist fight. But one of the guys who was on the side, because I guess this boy was getting the best of him and beaten up, he gonna come now and he wants to shoot the guy who was beating him. He was this close, it was so close, but he still missed. He still missed him, but
wow.
Amazing.
he missed him at
Hopefully.
that close thing. But thank God he
Yeah.
missed him.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
That
God.
could have
Yeah.
been a whole nother story. So thank
Yeah.
God he missed him, even though it was close range. But this is where we are now. So if we learned how to, we need to now, and this can even go back to the spanking thing because this is part of it. We don't know how to sit down and have resolve, calm
Mm.
conversation, resolve. Everybody have to be quick to anger, quick to hands, quick to gun, quick to knife. That's my own resolve. I can't live in this world with you because you don't agree with me, so you must be dead. I must dead you. That's the
Yeah.
Mm.
resolve.
Well, we
Wow.
don't have resolve because they're not. Too many people are trying to put too many laws in place that laws don't need to be in place.
That part.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That part.
And and again, if we as the elders don't pass down information, then, and what I mean by information is take what's going on in 2024 and then compare it to what was going on in 1994. You got two different worlds.
Yeah.
And it's
Depending on
up
what
to
it is.
us to facilitate that to these individuals to let them know.
Yeah. I want to say this real quick, y'all, because we're going to shut it down because it's 3 hours. Plus, I'm starting to get tired. Plus, Yvette says she got to get up, and everybody, we got East Coast people on.
Go to work.
Let's do it. Let's shut it down like this. I'll say that Al, you're right in what you said. There's something that we didn't talk about though. The world is soft. Today's world is a lot softer than it used to be.
It's not
Um,
the world, it's just the United States.
Let's do a part two. Let's do a part two.
Yeah, let's
Al,
do
you
a
said a
part two.
mouthful.
It's
Let's
not the
do a
world,
part
it's
two.
the United States.
Yes.
And
Totally agree.
Dave, real quick, and you know me, I go out the country twice a year. It's
mhm.
the things that
Me
we
too.
experience, the things that we experience in the United States is not going on in other countries.
Nope.
So it's the United States, huh?
It's the United
Yeah.
States.
And I'm like you,
Okay.
Al. I go with that same thing. I went to Dubai and Aruba last year in
Okay.
California.
All right.
That's the United States.
I'll make my statement then. I'll adjust my statement and say the United States is not what it used to be. It's soft. The people in the United States. And what I mean by that is there used to be a time when you could whoop your children. And I'm not talking about child abuse. So I want to make that very clear. Spanking or whooping your child in a disciplinary manner out of love and not out of anger should not be considered abuse. But in today's world, or at least in today's United States, where everyone is so sensitive and everybody's so soft, you can't tell jokes like you used to. You can't act too masculine because it's too toxic. You can't be too feminine because that's too toxic.
It's,
Or a woman can't be too independent because now she's, too much like a man. There's so much going on here. People can't even claim their own gender without offending someone else that's claiming a different gender. People can't even claim their own religious beliefs when it comes to behavior and morals because it offends someone else's religious beliefs. See what I'm saying? So if you stand on something today, they just taking you down for it. And that has crossed over into child rearing and parenting. So that's a problem. And then the other problem is you do have people that abuse their position as a parent. you do have people that are absolutely abusing kids, that are absolutely beating kids, that are absolutely emotionally abusing kids. Because we talked about it a little bit, like
And
Susie
starving
mentioned,
them.
starving
So
kids. But the whole thing of, you know, some children are never heard. They're talked down to so much,
Yes.
and we probably do need a part two. But I think the world, in America, at least, we've lost some things, and it's going to be hard for us to go back to what it used to be, because now you have the people that see how we were raised is wrong. They're now making the laws,
so
and
I
now
tell
Mm,
you,
wow.
we sound like the dinosaurs. Think about it.
so
If
so
you
so
say if you say, hey, I want the 10 Commandments posted in my office or in school or in the courthouse, you're a dinosaur. People look at you like, oh, you're not religiously tolerant. What are you doing? But back in the day, the 10 Commandments was in every courtroom.
so
The
I
American
tell you
flag
what.
was in every classroom. So
I tell you what,
yeah.
Dave. And since we're on
Mhm,
our way out, my closing argument would be this:
mhm.
I would challenge everyone that decides to become a parent to parent the way that you understand parenting to be. And stop listening to, there is no perfect way to parent. Parent your child or your children to help better the society that they got to live in moving forward, because you're not going to be here.
Mm, mm. And use the standards that you're comfortable with.
Yeah. And don't stop listening to other. There's no offense to nobody on this panel or nobody can tell me how to be a dad.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
And the way that I'm being a dad, if you want to grade me by how I'm being a dad, come look at my children.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't
And
agree with that.
too many people be like, I don't want nobody. No, you want I want everybody in my business when it comes to parenting. I want everybody to look and be like, damn, look at those kids, how mild-mannered they are, how et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I want that. I have a problem with the people that don't want that.
Exactly.
So Al, if you live by your own standards, just make sure you're not breaking any laws. And
You
I
know
thought,
what?
hold on,
I'm
hear
gonna
me out. I
always
threw that
break a law
caveat.
because the laws aren't correct.
Well, I threw that out there for the people. I threw that out there
But they are correct.
I threw
The
that out there for
laws
the
need new
people
laws.
yeah. But I threw that out there for the people that some you're a good parent is what I'm saying. Some people are not. And if we leave them to their devices and they parent the way they want, Lord have mercy.
I mean, here's my point, Dave, and I'll leave it with this. People think that line is not as thin as you think it is. A good parent and a bad parent, that line is not thin.
Okay.
And the society that we live in is trying to convince us that it is thin, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny how in a short period of time my opinions have changed greatly, because you just said, if you want to judge how good of a parent I am, look at my kids. I used to feel that way, but now I'm like, if you want to judge how good of a good parent I am, look at how I parent. Okay, it might not
Mhm.
show up all the time in my child anymore, but if a person watches how I parent and look at all I put in and all I do and how I interact with my child, they'll know I'm a great parent. However, then they'll look at my son and be like, you need to listen to your mom more. Like, you can't just look at a person's kid and think that their parent is good or bad. Some
And
kids just go wayward.
Okay, but then again, now we gotta ask the question: how old is your child?
16.
See, you have a teenager. I have 9-year-old.
Exactly, but then that's why that statement can't be made like, look at my kids, because that's not always going to be valid.
True.
Because
True. Point taken. Point well
you had
taken.
a conversation
Point well taken.
before where people often say, where's your mama at? You know, like, who raised you? And they always looked at mama first, where mama has
Exactly.
done and laid down a great blueprint for you, but you read off the blueprint. But the first thing people say is, "Where's your mama at?" Like, who raised you? But that's not
And
always the case, because you can have the best example, the best parenting, and those kids get out there and there's other influences on them at this time. And now they're seeing things, because now they're like, wait a minute, my mom didn't tell me that this happens, or my mom never told me that this is possible, because now they're seeing the world from their eyes and their peers' eyes, and not the eyes of the safety net that we put them in. But like I said, there's got to
and
be a part
Right.
two, because
and I
this
blame
can
the
go
adults
on.
because not the kids. Kids don't know crap. They might be leading other kids astray, but you can't blame them because they're young and they're trying to figure themselves out. As much as those other kids piss me off, I know that they're just trying to find their way, and they might be leading my son astray, but I can't be that mad at them. However, it's the other adults. It's their fault. And that's why I get frustrated, because you want to pass all these bills to have teachers paid more. They have the new superintendent, he's trash, and all these things. Who is holding them accountable for actually doing their job? They are so hands off in the classroom now, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
The
Hands
kids
off.
are doing whatever they want to do. Bullying is not a thing until somebody comes and shoots up the school. Like there's no programs to guide like virtue and character. They don't correct behaviors. They don't do anything. They just collect their check, and that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a depart, Dave.
Hey, we shutting it all down. I'm gonna let y'all all go. So look, I
I
appreciate
went
everybody for
already.
joining. Yeah.
Nice talking to
Al
y'all. I'll
gave his
see y'all later.
conclusion. Al, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining. Ladies, would you like to give
Hey, hit
that's
me
my
later,
man, Mr. Al
Dave.
Tariq. All right, that's Mr. Al Tariq, y'all. Ladies, would y'all like to give a conclusion? Just your final thoughts, or you think we said it all and we can bounce? I know Yvette got to
I
go.
think we should have a part two. We all got to.
All right.
I need to go. I need to get some food. But
We'll do
I
a
think
part
we
two.
should add a part two to this here, because we said a lot, and
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody made some very good valid points here. But it can take into, because it does move on to another level of
Yeah.
the mindsets of the children, and the children that were reared up by a parent who went the extreme
Mhm.
opposite of the way they were
Yeah.
raised. And I think that's where the lines are being crossed at right now. That's what we're seeing, the product of the ones that did the extreme
Yeah.
far left from where they were raised. And then that's why I think we have the situations we're having now. And there's other
Right.
factors to that, but yeah, we should do a part two, definitely.
Okay. Susie, thank you for joining. Yvette, thank you for joining. I appreciate
I
y'all. We have been
Let me make my
discussing
closing statement,
spanking your
Dave.
child. Huh? Say it again?
Let me make my closing statement. It's gonna be brief.
Oh. Uh-oh. My bad. Oh shit, I didn't hit the wrong button.
I'm
Damn.
gonna put it back on topic. I know I dragged you guys across the country with my statements, but I'm gonna keep it on topic. The topic is if spanking is abuse, right? And
Mhm.
my closing statement is, if domestic violence is when your partner beats on you, that's considered domestic violence. If they hit you, then I believe if you hit your child, knowing what I know now, that is abuse. So just learn to communicate with your kids and control what you can control. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. All right. Learn to communicate with your kids. Okay. Well, there's an aspect that I didn't bring up, y'all. And this is going back to the old after dark days. So I'm not going to say too much about this, but there's such thing as adult spanking.
Is that abuse?
I'm gonna leave that one alone. I ain't even gonna touch it. I'm not gonna walk in the door.
I mean, it don't seem like it's abuse to the people that do it. So
No.
that's a whole
I'm
nother
gonna walk in that
episode.
door.
It's a whole nother episode. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining, ladies. All right.
Good night.
I will see you guys next
Good
time. I
night.
appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
Dave.
Thank you,
Good night.
Yvette. Hey, y'all. It's Dave Life. You've been watching Dave Life After Dark, man. Check us out on Thursday. We'll see y'all next time. All right. Peace.